Coca-Cola. Nobody heard the first part. What's up, guys? We're back. It's episode number 155. You know, we're a little older, a little wiser, a little happy birthday, Evan.
Yeah, thank you. 29 years old now. It's funny. We podcasted the day before my birthday and the day after my birthday.
Mhm.
That's rare. So here we go. 29 years old. Yeah. I didn't have much to say there, but I'm excited to talk about The Last of Us. Last of Us season 2, which I think again this season is just firing on all cylinders for me. I'm liking most of the changes here. Some of the changes that I see like let cook, but otherwise I'm really enjoying the story that they're telling here. The relationships are key to this show. Relationships have always been key, and I think the relationships have been elevated so much by Bella Ramsey, Isabella Merced, however you want to say it. And then we got the great Jeffrey Wright this episode, and I'm like so thrilled, so thrilled to talk about that. And then we got the latest Marvel movie came out. We got Josh Peck. I just rewatched that scene before the podcast too, by the way.
I had to I had to find alternative means to watch the episode. So I was,
cool.
I hopped on. Yeah. So I hopped on. And I was like, "What? Did I click the right thing?" It's Josh Peck. I didn't hear anything about this.
But yeah, it was interesting. Yeah, this episode was really. We'll get into it later. But yeah, or in a second here. But yeah, Thunderbolts, dude. Thunderbolts' latest Marvel movie. We'll talk about that after The Last of Us. But I had a really good time with that movie. I know you liked it a lot too. So we'll have a lot to say about that movie as well. And the weird marketing campaign they're doing today, the morning of Monday. It's like, what
I love this movie. I question the choice.
I question it big time. I'm like, it's so confusing because like, is that what the DVD's going to be? You're right. Like, is that what the DVD is going to be called, or the Blu-ray is going to be called? Like, just call it Thunderbolts. Just call it Thunderbolts. That's what they are.
I'm only ever going to call it that.
Right? I'm never going to call it the other title. So, okay, it's weird.
We'll talk about
that. Was a choice. We'll talk about it later because right now we're talking about The Last of Us. So lock in, guys. But yeah, episode 4. This is my new favorite episode of the season, Nathan. I was very, very high on season 2, episode 2. The Joel's death episode. I thought that was just brilliant all the way around. And this episode is a lot of action, tense action, but similar to episode 2, great character work across the board, elevating other characters like Isaac. I think I already like Isaac more in this show than I do in the game. I think he's way better than he was in the game. Because in the game, there's a great presence in part 2 of the story. You only meet him when you play in as Abby, but we're seeing him early. We're seeing him already here. And I'm hearing no complaints. They're going against the story, guys. Any complaints? Internet? I don't know. Crickets. Like, is he going against the themes of the show right now by introducing them early? Like, people try to complain about like the Seraphites and Wolves coming in too early, or at least the Seraphites coming in too early last week. It ruins the pacing of the game and bullshit. For me, I like seeing the presence of Isaac. What's his name? I forget his last name, but Isaac's character, Isaac Dixon. I think Isaac Dixon is his last name. But no relationship to Carol from Walking Dead. Even though we do see Cassie's mom from Euphoria, which was funny. A lot of memes there last night. She was like Henrahan or whatever who he talked to from the Wolves. I think we'll meet her again next week. I think she like 11 years later, or however long it's been. But either way, what else? So yeah, let's just start there. We meet Isaac's character first scene. We don't really see him, but we feel his presence in the car. He's the only guy in the car who's like his head is looking down in the Fedra truck. So this is interesting. We know Seattle was originally run by Fedra, but similar to what was happening in Boston in part 1 of the game, Last of Us part 1, season 1, we see that Boston is hit with a lot of bombs and attacks from Fireflies against Fedra. Like in the game, Joel is just walking with Tess, and next thing you know, boom, a bomb blows up and he can't go over to a certain location. Similar to what we see there. But yeah, Fedra is just like an amalgamation of like what the government is supposed to be during this post-apocalyptic era, and it's just like taking away people's rights. We see in season 1 a lot of bad atrocities from Fedra. In the Bill and what's the other guy's name? The Bill episode.
Frank.
For Bill and Frank episode, there was a whole pile of bodies along the street. It's just Fedra's doing a lot of bad shit, and the same thing is happening in Seattle. But this time, Isaac was a part of it. He's probably like a military guy, was part of Fedra, but then he quickly realized how these people are just aimless. What he says is they're thoughtless, and I love the way that Josh Peck is telling the story about how some of these, he calls them voters, which is interesting. I had to rewatch the scene because it was very weird just jumping right into it and being like, what is all these terms are flying at me. He's talking about voters and how people are passing out, these voters, which are just ordinary citizens who lost the right to vote, are passing out pamphlets. He says, one of the guys says, like, is that WLF? He's like, no, some religious crap. I didn't know what it was. And I'm like, okay. In hindsight, rewatching the scene, maybe these people are passing out pamphlets about Sterophytes, which is the main religious group in Seattle. Maybe that's what it was. But then this guy named Greenberg, their superior officer, comes over, beats up one of the voters, thinks disseminating means like masturbating, all that kind of stuff. It's weird. And then that's when Jeffrey Wright's character, Isaac, said, or one of the characters says, like, why do you call them voters? He says, I don't know. That's what we said. And that's when Jeffrey Wright says, we removed the right to vote. And the others are like, and Josh Peck is like, oh, sorry, I didn't know that. I didn't know anything about that. And then, Isaac calls them thoughtless. And this whole conversation was just so immersive and so interesting. I like the way that Craig Mazin just like kind of jumps us into the middle of this conversation, just kind of give us a tease of how like rough and stupid Fedra is, at least in the small conversation. Like every organization, not everybody in Fedra is like this, but this is kind of like the big vibe that Isaac is getting from Fedra. This is the vibe that a lot of people are getting from Fedra. People have had enough of this group, even if they have a lot of weapons and stuff. It's just a great conversation because in the games, we as Ellie, you're playing as Ellie and you're reading all these notes. And it's about like a lot of these anti-Fedra notes. Like if you're just walking around Seattle, there's a tank in this episode. If you go inside one of the tanks, you can just read a note about like the wolves and stuff like that. Like you get a sense of the battle that had happened between the wolves and the Fedra people, and the Fedra lost. It's a great aspect of the discovery for the game. But in this show, I just really like getting a tease from Isaac's perspective here. And it was just so crazy how, he says, keep the car running. He talks to like Kathy's mom from Euphoria. She called, I think she's called like Henrahan or whatever. They shake hands. And that's when before that, he looks back and he asks the guy who questioned Josh Peck. And he's like, hey, get out of the car. And I like this because like in hindsight, he's like, he's saving the guy's life. He's like, this guy asked a question. He's a newbie. Watch and learn. Like he kind of saves the guy's life. And I like this because later on in the episode, this is the same guy who was like, during the whole torture scene, he was like, oh yeah, they deserve it. And the camera like zooms in on his face. And the guy is like so like desolate. So like, used to Jeffrey Wright's or Isaac's torture by now. You just see the deadpan look on his face as Isaac is like just shot the guy and tortured the guy, whatever. The other guy is like nervous. He's just like locked in. So you can see just the passage of time is completely from this wide-eyed guy who's asking Josh Peck question to this, older dude who's just like, whatever. Which is very interesting. I just love this entire sequence overall. The way he just threw the grenades in the car, I'm like, oh shit. It was just so fascinating. It was great. It was so yeah. How'd you like all this?
I thought it was very compelling. I like that we're getting more Isaac fleshed out. Like you said, I really like because the kid actually pondered some curiosity, actually was different than just falling in line and just being a brainless follower. Saw something within him, which has proven deep loyalty in the present day.
Exactly. And just I saw some people were confused online. So this was completely a trap. Like, you get the sense that like Isaac had already met with this lady. They shook hands earlier. This is like his first time. Maybe it's his first time meeting her, but they had communicated earlier that Isaac wanted to switch. And it's not like a spur of the moment where he's like, you know what, F it. I'm just gonna throw my thing away. Like this is not spur of the moment. Like this had already been planned. He blows him up and he joins the Wolves. This was like the earlier group of Wolves. They weren't as organized anymore. You get the sense that like maybe Isaac is the one that completely helped them, change the course of the war against Fedra. Either way, Fedra lost. 11 years later, Isaac's in charge. And let's just jump over to the Isaac torture scene now, because this was interesting. Last week, I said I was kind of nervous, and maybe I still am. I don't know. I'm just gonna talk it through, but like we meet the Fedra, or we meet Isaac torturing this Seraphite, and we get a lot of information about the Seraphites from this conversation. A lot of people were not happy about the way Seraphites were introduced. Explaining the whistles. Even though I was like, I made the joke last week. Like, it doesn't matter how much they explain the whistles. If you hear it again, it's not like we're gonna realize what the whistle means. Like, you can whistle one time, it's like, oh, this means duck or whatever. Like, I like the mystery from the game, but at the same time, it just doesn't matter to me. It was weird. It was a weird complaint. But either way, here, my main gripe was like, are they making the Seraphites too, obviously the losers, obviously the underdogs, right? Compared to Isaac's WLF group, like, are they making it seem like Isaac is too much of a evil person compared to the Seraphites? And they kind of drill that home again in the torture scene here, where the Seraphite is naked, afraid, but very resolved. And this is so fascinating. And this isn't just some weak prisoner who's just like, oh, please, please, please stop it. Like, there was a point where Isaac's talking about cutlery and pans and cast iron versus, copper pans. It was a very weird but imposing conversation. And he burns the guy's arm. He's asking, when's the next attack? And the guy sticks out his hand again, just torture me again. I'm like, oh shit. It was just so fascinating. I like this. The guy had so much resolve here.
It is very captivating. But I think was even the most captivating was when Isaac was posing what makes you think you're going to beat us? And because he's like, every day one of your wolves comes to us and joins. None of us go to join you, but there's a new one every day.
That was baller. That was a great line, and Isaac's face doesn't break. But as an audience member, you're like, damn, if that's the way the course of the war is going, that's very telling for the state of the Wolves. People are not vibing with this leadership. And even if it's just one a day, that's still very telling of the chaos that's happening inside of the camp. Which is that, I didn't even think about this, Nathan, but is that teasing? Spoilers for season 3, everybody. If you're watching this podcast, but we play the game, blah blah blah. In season 3, we're gonna see Abby helping out Lev and Yara, and while Lev and Yara leave the Seraphites, they're not necessarily gonna join the Wolves. Abby though leaves the Wolves. Technically, she doesn't join the Seraphites, but she joins it's like a middle group there, because in Abby's storyline, you're fighting mostly Seraphites. You're not even fighting Wolves. But she technically just leaves the Wolves. She's there when Isaac gets shot, which I think is also going to be a changed scene. Because it is a very interesting scene in the game. You get out of this complex with Yara, and then Yara gets shot by Isaac and then shoots Isaac or whatever. It's very out of the blue. I really hope they changed it in the show. I think they will. But anyways, it's just so jarring. But anyways, what I'm trying to say is that this could tease Abby leaves the Wolves. She doesn't leave the Wolves based on hey, the Wolves are bad per se, but in her journey to help out Lev and Yara, things change for Abby. It's part of her redemption arc. But it just kind of brought that to mind while I'm talking about it right now. But either way, I'm with you. That scene was just so very telling. In the cold, again, resolute way he said it all. Hey, one by one, people come to join our camp, and one by one, and then nobody joins the wolves. It was just very interesting how devoted the Seraphites are from this guy's perspective. But then I think also talks about how they're savages, and he responds like they're just doing the work of her, she. He's never said her name, which I kind of like. I forget what her name is.
Yahweh.
What?
It's Yahweh.
But I'm like, I think she has a name. I wonder if I can pull it up right now. Seraphite leader name.
Great Mother.
But like, we 1000% Seraphite prophet. What's her name? The prophet is Messiah figure, and the Seraphites made shrines for her. Do we know her name though? Google. I know she's dead.
And her name is Abby. Da, 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 da.
Yeah, no. I think no name on here either. Yeah, but we call her the prophet. I think in season 3 we're 1000%, not 1000%, but I'll be very interested to see if we ever get a backstory about her. That could be kind of interesting. How this person became the prophet. I think that's one of the beauties of the show is that we can spend an episode pulling back the curtain about that. Or, some people on the internet would be mad and upset because the prophet is such a mysterious figure. Keep it mysterious. So I could see it going either way. But I kind of, I wouldn't mind getting more information. It's just more lore, more interesting backstory. We have multiple seasons of the show. Let's take our time here and, explore the lore of what happened in Seattle between the Wolves and the Seraphites. But speaking about that, like this show or this whole scene, interrogation scene, kind of epitomized the, two things here. For Isaac's character, it epitomized how Isaac went from somebody who thought like the federal people, leaders and the soldiers are thoughtless, they are an unjust group from his perspective. And then we get the wolves now in modern day, how they're really the Fedra of modern day. It's a cycle that bears repeating. And this is what is an important thing this show always talks about, because in season 1, episodes 5 and 6, the Kansas City arc, with Catherine, how Catherine's group fought against Fedra as well. These were a group of like just ordinary survivors that took control of this city, but then they became the bad people themselves. The way they were hunting down, Henry and Sam, the way they were like taking over this city on with an iron grip. They became the bad guys. Are we the baddies? But it was a very interesting arc that really, showcased how the cycle of power in this show is never ending. And again, what the show always says is, within the cycle of power, the good guys and the bad guys are all dependent on your perspective. And that leads me to the second point here about perspective here. I love the conversation, how the chicken and the egg of it all. It's like, when next attack? Like, there won't be a next attack if you guys don't attack. It's like, well, you guys attacked first. No, you guys attacked first. It's like, I'm tired of the bullshit. We do.
Stop playing your chicken and egg bullshit.
Chicken and the egg bullshit. It was very funny.
Voice is so good.
Yeah. I just, how did we get so gifted to get Jeffrey Wright back on the show, man? He's so fucking good in every fucking thing.
He's such a phenomenal actor, and I'm so grateful that he does such great acting work, not only in like very like thematically driven roles, but also fun like franchisey stuff. Yeah.
He's great in Batman. I was thinking of the last movie, the American Fiction. Did you ever see that? The comedy? That was a great movie, great comedy with him, his Sterling K. Brown from This Is Us played his brother. It was just a very heartwarming movie, very funny movie. If you guys have not seen it, Nathan included, I don't know where it's streaming at. I bet it's streaming somewhere, but American Fiction, very, very funny movie.
It might be on Hulu.
Might be on Hulu. Sounds like a good Hulu movie. But yeah, great movie. But yeah, Jeffrey Wright's always good. TV, movie, otherwise, he's always really good. It was crazy that they even got him for the game in general. But yeah, this aspect of like power, lawlessness, it was just a great imposing introduction to Jeffrey Wright's character. And I cannot wait to see what new lines they add for him next week. we seem to be getting him again next week. I'm like, okay, what is this whole storyline? As we get to Seattle day 2 with Ellie checking down Nora, like what's going on here? Just a short aside for the next week stuff. We seem to be getting cordyceps are back, not cordyceps, spores are back, which is gonna be cool next week. And then Isaac talks about, or somebody talks to Isaac about how like there's a lot of people dead in the hospital and what's going on there. We know about the whole spores angle, but anyways, what was I gonna say? I can't wait to get Isaac in season 3 with Caitlin Deaver. That whole relationship again. I like it in the game. There's just a lot of illusions that like Abby has a very high position of power within the Wolves. Isaac respects her. She respects Isaac. But I can't wait to get more individual scenes about that. Just like we got today, where the show is just elevating certain conversations. But overall, great introduction to one of our big bads in Isaac. And once again, I like him way more already than I did in the game. But that brings us to the other main part of the story here. Ellie and Dina's journey as Seattle Day 1 continues. We get the continuing journey of Ellie and Dina here. And everything with this journey, Nathan, was, how do I say, pitch perfect, fantastic, incredible, amazing. You see how people just have to be patient. Me and you, like me and Jalen always talk about this because we read manga every week, and if there's a manga chapter people are upset about, it's like just wait till next week, all will be revealed. And it's like the same thing with TV. Is like, we live in a culture where people just like are upset about one line of dialogue, one episode, instead of like just accepting that it's a journey. Not everything can be binged. Just wait and be patient. And then if something doesn't go your way, then you can be angry. But just be patient. And last week, people are like, "Oh, Dina said, I'm not gay, Ellie," or "You're gay at all. You're gay. I'm not." Like, Ellie, what's going on? People are like, "That's not my Dina. This show sucks." Are they?
They're erasing the gay.
It's like, what? Like she's a normal girl who's confused. I read that from just her normal cadence. It's like, she's just confused. We know she likes like every sign in the world is telling us she likes Ellie. It's so obvious. Even you haven't played the game. Yeah,
even beyond this episode where they physically show their attraction to one another, Dina spells out to the audience like, "Oh no, I let me tell you how closeted I am."
Right? Which I liked a lot. By the way, this director was Kate Herron, who did some great stuff on Loki. A lot of the Loki and Sylvie stuff was by Kate Herron. Okay. She directed the first meeting between Sylvie and Loki when they went when they were like, not stranded. I guess Loki was stranded on that like purple planet or whatever, and just like crashing down. That's season 1 episode 3, season 1. Yeah. And I'm like, okay, that's when everybody was like, okay, Loki and Sylvie, is something happening here? So that was great. So thank Kate Herron for a lot of that.
Coded.
We'll get to that.
I'm gonna get to that today.
Oh my god, it's like people hate romance all of a sudden, and it's not the older people. It's not the older people. It's the younger people too. It's like, what are we doing? This generation is fucked. Anyways,
we're gonna go extinct from lack of connectivity.
Right? It's like just let people kiss, guys. You won't get cooties.
Not the cooties.
So yeah. What were we talking about? Oh, Ellie and Dina. I love their journey so much. Like Isabella Marsad and Bella Ramsey are just. I say it every week. Like I'm tweeting up about the show, and I'm like, my tweets are all the same with these people. It's just like they're so good. They're just every week. They're just so fucking good. Bella Ramsey is a fantastic Ellie. Fantastic. And again, similar to how Pedro Pascal was giving different, sides of Joel. I like how Bella Ramsey's Ellie is different than PS4, whatever game Ellie. A lot of the way, this Ellie is very much more. I don't know why I said that, but
Insomniac's Ellie.
But Naughty Dog's Ellie. But what I like about this Ellie is she's different. I saw some people complaining, but later on in the episode, the whole line about like I'm gonna be a dad or whatever is like that's not Ellie. She's too happy right now. She used to be upset. You know, the Joel thing happened. I was like, let her be happy in this moment. Watch it next week. Guess what? We're gonna see a bad side of Ellie. We're gonna see a bad side. And I am curious how they do that because Bella Ramsey is just I know she can get angry. I know she can get upset. You know, when she said, I'm going to kill you all, I was like, I really felt that in episode 2. So we're going to see her put her money where her mouth is next week. You know, how hard are they going to go in on Ellie killing Nora? I think Ashley Johnson did a great job showcasing Ellie's terror in that Nora scene, even though the game kind of cut away, I think, right? Like the game, you see Ellie bring up the pipe and she's like, you can make this easy or you can make this hard, or whatever. And then she like swings. And then I think we cut straight to like Ellie shivering because of what she did to Nora. I wonder if the show is going to actually showcase that violence. A lot of the reactions before the season premiered is like, Ellie goes to some dark places, you'll be uncomfortable. I want to feel uncomfortable. I want Ellie to go do some dark places next week. Now I want to see Bella pull that off because Bella can pull off like happy Ellie, like no kidding. She's so good with all the Dina stuff when she's just jovial, being a beautiful, kind, and caring person. But at the same time, she came to Seattle for a reason. Now I'm curious to see Bella go to that range. I think she can get there though.
Absolutely.
You know. But anyways, I just love the scene with her and Dina. They come across the whole pride flag thing was hilarious. Maybe they're just optimists.
They don't know what it means.
It's funny. They know like a lot of like criticism, like the dyke word that Seth used in episode 1, but they don't know about like pride flags. It's very interesting. Very funny. There's some great memes. I love Last of Us Twitter. I love me some Last of Us Twitter. It reminds me of like it's not as crazy as like Euphoria Night Twitter, where people are just like the memes are crazy because that show's crazier. But yeah, it was just a lot of Ellie and Dina memes. Like with the sex scene, somebody was like, "She's really trying to find the baby." I'm like, "Oh boy!" I
was like, "All right,
what are you showing me?" But yeah, it was great. It was amazing. I love how far they went in the end there. But anyways, yeah, I like the journey that they have in the beginning here, coming across the tank, the loud noises. These people, it's just showcasing how, they're entering a war zone, and Ellie and Dean are still in this era of like, we're gonna be here, we're gonna find some people. It's like they hasn't really hit them yet. But when they get to the news station, it's like, oh, my heart was beating. Oh, by the way, they put Shimmer in the books, not the bookstore, the music store. And he didn't blow up. He survived to Seattle day 1.
Is that when Shimmer dies?
Yeah, he dies in Seattle day 1 when they're walking. I think this is like pre-news station. They're just walking down the street. This is after they find Tommy's torture scene in the hotel. They're like, Tommy probably went to the news station. They drop down from the hotel. They go past the gate. The gate opens up. They're walking. Boom. Shimmer blows up. Boom. Dana gets hit in the head. Ellie gets hit in the head. They wake up. They're tied up. They kill Jordan. After they killed Jordan, then they make their way to the news station. And she goes crazy. Then same thing happens from the TV show. They go to the tunnels. Then they go to the spore scene. Ellie's like, I'm immune, and then it works out. I also think I kind of like the show version more than the game version. I don't know if that's a hot take, but we'll get into that. But yeah, how'd you like this whole music store scene, dude? I absolutely loved it. I thought this was beautiful. Bella can play guitar, and I think she did a great job here with this whole "Take on Me" scene. It was so touching.
I melted. I cried.
Wicked Witch of the West.
Okay. We'll see how that transpires in the Wicked 2. I don't know how it ends. But here though, man, I loved it. First off, Bella sounds amazing singing. I
agree. It's hard because I think Ashley Johnson is the singer. At least she's sung some stuff in the past. And she sings some stuff in the show Legends of Vox Machina. But I was worried. I was like, Bella isn't a singer. I don't think she is. So
She
I'm curious.
practiced on this one.
She practiced the guitar and she practiced of singing for sure. And I think she did a wonderful job. I was worried people were just going to compare again, but they can't compare. But I love what Bella did.
Yeah, I love this. I love her initial trepidation when Dina comes in, but she does commit. And I love how like raw and it doesn't feel like a studio performance. Like just taking those breaths, those different cadences that come with the unprepared nature of just kind of unintentionally bearing your soul within the music.
Right.
I love that so much. But also, Dina is what made me so emotional watching because
Oh my God.
she was so excited to see that Ellie was expressing herself this way, and then she comes in, and I really got the sense that she felt she was being legitimately sung to by
Yes.
Ellie's not just singing. Ellie is singing to Dina how she feels, in a sense, and Dina felt it, and I think it solidified that Dina loves Ellie, like 1,000%. Like she already had those feelings, but like this just cemented, like, yeah, I want to spend my life with this person, which makes the ending so emotional. Before we get the
oh my gosh, I completely agree with everything you said, man. And I think it elevates what we got in. I will defend again the tent scene where people were like, I think Dean was being too rude to Ellie. She kept teasing Ellie. Yes, she was. And I like how Craig mentioned in the podcast. He was like, some things Dina said in the tent scene I wouldn't necessarily say. But I like that Dina said it because she's teasing Ellie. She's unconfident in herself. Dina is. And she's just unsure right now. She was talking about Jesse, she's talking about Dina and herself and Ellie. It was a mess, and I liked it. I liked the mess because it kind of makes what you just said. It makes her realizing her love for Ellie even further, cementing her love through the song. It hits even harder. Like you said, Dina truly fell in love with Ellie in this scene. Again, she's always liked Ellie. But I think she truly fell in love and envisioned that future with Ellie via this song. It just kind of made everything cemented in her head. Which again, I just like the journey these characters are going on. Some people were saying, some friends of ours were saying that, like, I like that Ellie and Dina were locked in from the jump in the game, which I still think they were like. I don't think they were locked in from the jump. It's like I never took the weed scene as them being like, now we're going out.
Yeah.
Like they make out, but it's not like they were locked in. At least until Ellie tells her about she's immune. That's when they're really locked in. I think, in my opinion. But either way, because I just like the show is showcasing us like not even a slow burn. It was just like a 1-episode burn journey of Ellie and Dina in the tent scene to what we get here, to seeing them more vulnerable, more honest. And I think the direction from Kate Herod was beautiful. The way it showcased the sunlight, the wide pan showcasing the sunlight beaming down on Ellie, who was beaming down, giving light to Dina per se. And Dina's and Isabella's evolution of her expressions in that scene, like you said, she comes in excited, but then slowly like the emotions start hitting her because she's like kind of, at least in my opinion, I agree with you. My interpretation is that like, is she talking about me? Is this about me? Maybe it is. Maybe that's that's kind of how I always interpreted it. And I don't know that other people think differently.
Even if Dina is unsure that Ellie is emitting emotions through this song, Dina feels her own emotions in connecting to Ellie. So it fundamentally changes her character emotionally in the direction of falling in love.
Exactly. And you see that in this scene where, again, she goes from excited to like crying and tearing up and being like so, touched and moved emotionally by it. She was crying at the end. I was like, oh, it was just so good. And Bella's voice was amazing. Again, the lighting was great. And that's why, I criticize live action lighting a lot. But I think they did a great job with this scene, like showcasing the beauty, the lighting of this fantastic set. The production design for this show is unreal. The Emmys, the Creative Arts Emmys at least, the ones that are on Saturday, not the Sunday. I think they're gonna have a hard time when it comes down to, I think the Emmys are always in September, but like production design competition is tough this year. Because they're gonna have Andor, which is just, we gush about the production design of like Gorman all the time.
Sure.
But then Last of Us, like, it's so good. Like
Yes.
we'll get to the set of the news station. That set was amazing. The whole music store set is great. Everything with Seattle is amazing. Severance is also did a great job in season 2 with the set design. I'm just like, man, like this year for TV is just it's so good. How are we so blessed? Like, how do we go from Andor, Last of Us, Severance earlier this year, The Pit? I've been loving this year. Castlevania was in January. I'm just like, so much good shit, and it's only halfway through the year. Also, by the way, short aside, one of my favorite shows of 2023 was this South Korean reality show called The Devil's Plan. It comes out May 6th, tomorrow. I recommend people watch it. It's a social strategy game like Big Brother and Survivor, where they're in the house and people get eliminated, but it's not by voting. It's not by like, hey, I don't like this person, majority rules, you're out of here. They play a lot of like these math puzzle games, and it includes, these puzzle games include social strategy, and it's very interesting. And it came out in 2023, I think the same year as Andor. Was Andor 2023? I don't know. I don't know for 2022. But regardless, I don't know what came out in 2023. I think it was Last of Us. But I think in the year filled with like Last of Us and other shows, Devil's Plan was like my number 1 or 2 show of the year. Like, it was so good. And it's coming out tomorrow, and I think people should watch it. It's on Netflix. Anyways, I just kind of brought to my mind. But yeah, music store scene was incredible. We cut to they're walking towards do they just see the news station, right?
Yeah, I think so. They're walking along, they find the tank at first. Gets real loud bang. It's a funny moment.
Real loud bang. Yeah, that was bad. The rookies at this. But either way, I was nervous. I thought Manny was there. I think Manny's at a different station. Is Manny the Manny that we saw at the end of last week?
Yeah,
Tower.
I think he is at a different tower. It's a bit more open. I think there was I forget if this was before the music scene or after, but they're hunting for supplies, right? And
this is before. Yeah, I forgot. Good call.
Yeah, Dina finds the. It's very clear. I don't think they show it, but like, I know she found pregnancy tests.
Yeah, and I like how she talked about it later in the episode. She was like, "Well, it was kind of confirmed when
they could be all expired," and she pulls out 4.
Yeah, that was funny as hell. That's like,
that was hilarious.
Yeah,
she must have had to go.
Right. I mean, I told Jay, that's a lot of pee. Like, goddamn.
Like, you had to stop and start. Like,
right? That's a lot of pee. But hey, she got the job done. But I was also talking about how I like how it referenced last week, how we called she saw all the dead bodies and she threw up. I'm like, Dina's seen some shit before. Like, why is she throwing up then? It's
and then this episode, she was like, I've seen some shit before.
Yeah, I was like, that's exactly what we said in the podcast. Like, it's morning sickness, and it was confirmed to be morning sickness. But yeah, that was just like you mentioned in this episode, her getting the pregnancy test from the random stores. Like, that was just another tease that she was pregnant. Even though earlier in the episode we didn't really know what was happening, kind of cut away. But yeah, we knew that was a pregnancy test. I like how Ellie kind of not caught on to it at all. She didn't know. But like, she was like, "Are you okay, Dina?" It's like, they're already at that level where they can just tell something's wrong.
Yeah. But either way, they also were like, before Ellie could like really press it more, like the troops were coming and they had to hide. Which to the point, the whole time, like from that moment in the building to the bite in the end of that, like that whole like couple of sequences felt the most I think this show has ever felt like the game. Like traversing levels.
Yes. And I was just like, it felt so immersive, which is what video games are. They're so immersive storytelling. But here we're introduced to this news station. It's raining to get in. This whole sequence, like it felt so gamey. Like they zoom in at the broken window. That's how we get in. I can just look at the boxes that you would use to climb into that. I'm like, okay, very interesting.
Like it literally starts off of just like we're as if we're watching a cutscene, and it's like, oh shit! Like you see the lights coming to the door. We gotta hide because now the level's about to start. And
Right?
you're hiding while like they're walking by, and you gotta
Yeah, you're
determine
just
like
like
what's the clear path. Take up the stairs.
yeah, like I'm watching this with jumping ahead. When the wolves enter, I'm like, oh shit. Even in the game, there was like 4 people right there, and Dina and them were on the first floor, and they were right there. I'm like, I don't know what I would do in that situation. Like, I would have to pull out a smoke bomb because they got very close. And I'm like, in a game, you can just like get up behind somebody, knife, and they wouldn't hear anything. In the show, it's like, Johnny, boom! It's like you get wrecked. It's like, oh shit! I don't know how Ellie made it up the stairs. To be honest, I was like, how did you make it upstairs?
Yeah, I was shocked that it didn't make a bunch of noise to the stairs.
Right? I was like, oh my god! I would have been too scared to move.
a bigger thing that worried me was like there was like Dina was hiding in a box, and the guy was like about to like walk
right?
up, and like, she might be discovered. And for like knowing my luck, what would have happened? Like on our first playthrough is the guy would have probably stopped, not seen Dina, and be like, we're clear on this end, and turned back. But my ass trying to save Dina would have thrown a fucking bottle and then made the situation worse.
Jalen mentioned in the game, he mentioned like in the game, does the NPCs do they get alerted to you by seeing Dina? Does Dina count like if she's spotted, you're spotted? And I'm like, it's kind of 50-50. Sometimes I'm hiding and Dina like crawls over to me in the open. I'm like, yeah. But nothing happens because it's like an NPC versus NPC. Yeah. But sometimes, in like I think higher level difficulties, if Dina gets caught, you get caught too sometimes.
Wow.
I think that's the case because but it is very finicky. It is very 50-50. But sometimes I swear to God, I'm hiding. Dina crawls over to me and I'm like, and I get caught. I'm like, that's bullshit. But either way,
I think it's the worst when like your NPC character that follows you crouches over to where you're at, but now like you can't occupy their space and I have limited range.
It kind of pushes you out a little bit. I'm like, oh, what the fuck? Yeah, what? Like sometimes
my foot's sticking out and I'm like, they're gonna see me.
Yeah, my gun's sticking out and it's like, oh fuck, now I gotta go shoot somebody. Thank you, Dina. But yeah,
found one. Wait, X.
Wait, restart checkpoint. But yeah, it was just so intense. But yeah, before we get to that though, I love them entering this station. The lighting here was very good, just like this red, dark lighting. Remember in the game, it was during the daytime, not the rain. It wasn't raining. It was daytime here. It was like kind of sunset-y. And I like how in the game you're like, was this Tommy who did this? Did he hang up all these people? But no, it was Tommy coming here after the Seraphites had already gotten to the wolves. And the wolves get there because of Tommy's gunshots. But here we get there because of what the Seraphites had done to them recently. Like the Seraphites were just here apparently, at least within a few hours. And man, seeing how all these people were strung up, watching them behind the scenes, like those were actual actors, stunt actors who were hung up. It wasn't like fake bodies. Stunt actors were hung up with prosthetic, intestines spilling out.
Yeah. Wow.
That was really cool. I was like, did you have to have like actual stunt performers hanging like that? Like that's wild. But they did, and this intestines looked very realistic, and it was like so again immersive for the show. But yeah, again, this whole thing was just so intense, so beautifully intense, so great. Yeah. They're under the cabinets, the wolves are walking in. I'm like, oh my god, how are they gonna escape this? They get up to the level, like everything was so 1-for-1 from the game. Like this is crazy. Like I played Last of Us the no return mode, the recent on the PS5 remaster. You play like the survival mode, and this news station is one of the main levels. And that area next to the window where Ellie kills the guy is an area I always go to because it has a lot of vantage points. There's a stairwell right there where exactly where the guy comes from, the stairwell where he walks in and sees Ellie, or at least Ellie sees him. And to the right was the exit. And I always like going to like that patio exit if things get crazy. So like everything was like so 1-for-1 for the game. I felt like locked in. I wanted to play it last night if I had time. It was so cool. I loved it all.
It's so cool. I was laughing a little because when Ellie went upstairs and she's hiding behind the door and the guy's just like walking and it's like, you see there's a clear blood. The first thing I'm checking is behind the door before I enter.
Right. I'm always checking like if we enter something, it's like boom. Like I'm always checking like behind the door.
Yeah.
But Ellie got the jump on him, and her physical training went to work there. But that guy was like tough. He was like 250. He kind of pulled back on it. I'm like, oh shit, Ellie, this isn't going the way you think. But the other guy walks in, or the girl, whatever. Dina shoots the other person, and that gives Ellie time to like stab the guy in the neck. I'm like, oh, this is so again game oriented here. Like Ellie just stabbing that guy in the neck, doing her thing. Dina good with the gunshots. And then they haul ass. And this was so nerve-wracking. I was like, oh, my God. Because the wolves, guys, there are a lot of them. A lot of wolves. So the whole chase scene was great. They get to the tunnel. It's like, we can fit in. They can't. I'm watching this. And you know how in the rubble, there's like a piece of like a pipe that sticks out from the cement blocks? You know what I mean?
Sure.
Like those rusted spike things. I'm like, if I crawl into that, like, my stomach is like scratching that. I feel like I'm just getting scraped.
I'm getting tetanus.
Right? I'm getting tetanus. I'm getting scraped. I'm like, ah. Like, especially in a situation, like, the wolves are on my ass. I'd have been stuck in that tunnel. They would have shot my ass up. I'd have been stuck in that tunnel. They'd have been like,
even if I'm a wolf and I can't fit in, I'm shooting in the tunnel.
Right? Like, when the wolf came in there, it was like, oh, they went down the other way. I'm like, can't you see Ellie's ass or something? Like, can't you shoot right now? I would have let loose some bullets in there or something. Hey, luckily they didn't.
However, I did find it captivating that while they were throwing flares around and shit, it caught on one of the
what do you call those? Yeah,
cordyceps.
Cordyceps.
Are those the cordyceps?
Yeah, cordyceps. They grow on people, but they also I think grow on the ground as well. Either way, it was just so that was interesting. Again, that's a part of the show that's not from the games that I kind of like. Right. It's just like the hive mind mentality. Like if you step on something, they will hear it.
I'm continually terrified how many get alerted at one time, Evan. Like there's just hordes ready. Garrisons.
That was crazy. So yeah, the flares are coming in. By the way, the flares are giving forth this awesome red light straight from the games. Which this crazy red, darkness. It was awesome.
Yeah. Which, by the way, I'm watching the scene and like the snarling from the infected get like louder and louder, and I'm seeing Dina like counting, and I figured she's counting the infected that are coming. I'm like, okay, there's at least like 5 coming, and it's like 40.
Yeah, she's like, maybe I miscounted it. No, but yeah, it was just like 5, and then she hears like the rumble. It's just like, okay, it's gonna be more than 5, and holy shit, I love the scene in the game because this is a point where The Last of Us, the game gives you options. Do you want to kill them all, then you kill the clickers, or do you throw something and the clickers are alerted to the wolves?
You let them take each other out. Yeah,
exactly. Then that's what I always do in that scenario.
I think we've done that what you did in Alien Isolation when it's like it was a group of like mercenaries that are like ready to kill us. We're like, fuck it, noisemaker, suck it, hide in the fucking blocker,
suck it. Yeah, even though unfortunately for Alien Isolation, they can't take each other out. Or you can't let them take each other out because like the alien's just gonna win. The alien always wins, but it gives us a chance to sneak past the alien, or haul ass.
It lets me clear their patrol so we can sneak past more.
Yeah, like I'd rather take on just the alien rather than like 4 NPCs and an alien. Like that's way too many possibilities here.
If I knew I had the safety of no alien and just the mercenaries, I would probably just waste them with some bullets. But because I know the alien will be alerted by anything, I can't.
Yeah. I would take the NPCs over the alien anyways, but if it's all or nothing, it's like I'd rather take just the alien because I know I'm going to get alerted anyways. Yeah. I miss those streams, man. Those are some fun fucking suspenseful ass bullshit. I still can't believe they're making a sequel, guys. That's amazing. I keep forgetting that every day. I can't wait.
Man.
We're gonna be on that day one. Day one. My stomach's not gonna be ready for it, but we're gonna be live streaming that day fucking one. But anyways, this whole scene is just so well shot. It's so beautiful. It's so intense. It's so again immersive. It's so cool. I love it all.
I love this could have been intentional by the characters in the writing or not, but I do like when we're given the opportunity to climb up to the roof and the idea of one of us has to go first. They don't dwell on that, but it's very clear Ellie's going to help Dina get up first because if anybody's going to stay behind and get scratches or whatever, it should be Ellie.
It should be Ellie. Yeah. But yeah, when Ellie pulls up Dina, they're traveling through the train carts and the infected are against the walls. Very reminiscent of Abby's escape in
Episode 2?
Jackson,
Yeah.
in episode 2. That was like again the costume designs, by the way, from the clickers are just incredible. There's one shot when one of them like bursts through the window, and I'm just like, oh my god, how did they film that? Like, holy shit, it was so nerve-wracking.
The headshots feel real too. I'm like, oh damn.
Yeah, they were dropping. I'm like, let's go. Dina with that sharpshooter. Woo.
Yeah, that said, when Ellie's like unloading in the train by herself, I'm like, oh, we're losing a lot of ammo.
Yeah,
this isn't a game where we're just finding shit. This sucks.
Yeah, if they were on grounded mode, it's a wrap, man.
Yeah, they are.
Yeah, they are.
Exactly.
But they were letting loose here. It was just so intense, so great. I love the area in between the cars where like this black, the black, section between the train cars that just starts like getting rampaged. It was all so cool.
Where they
get on top and it gets crazy and it's
where they jump off of. I thought they were in like a safe spot. Like, oh, they're not on this side of this car, but then there were some.
Yeah, the guy just turned around. I'm like, oh fuck! Like they're not that far.
And then they climb like the grid fence, and I'm like, fuck, man, that's tricky climb, but you got it.
I would got. Like, I'm a good climber, but I'm like, oh shit, like, but, life and death.
There's some small fucking grids.
Those are small handholds. I'm like, how do you get some footing there?
Adrenaline will survive. This is what's pushing you,
right?
Like, this is gonna strain the fuck out of me, but I need to. Like, I was even seeing Dina climb. She was like, god, it sucks.
Right, it's a very hard climb. But Ellie and Dina made it out there. That was close.
But then I really do love the final point that they run through with the walkway.
The rotating door. I'm like, oh my god! Like, do you remember?
It was great suspense because like it's tricky. But so this is funny. Ellie pushed it and then it started to lock up, and my brain was like, push it back. It must be loose that way.
But similar to how you mentioned how Ellie helped Dina up first. I thought Ellie would be like, Dina, you go first. But Ellie kind of like pushes it first, like, open up, fucker. And then she kind of pushes it through, and then Dina's behind her. I'm like, Ellie, you should always be second. You should always be second here.
She definitely should. But I guess she's so used to living the illusion that it's probably just like, okay, like whatever. And she also is unaware of like Dina's pregnancy right now, so she's probably thinking like, we're equals, let's go. Yeah. Just trying to get things moving as best they can. But I do really love. I love when they finally get through that, like, because the horde is so massive, they're pushing on either side of the push door, so like it will never actually like open.
Yeah, that was nerve-wracking.
They're so ravenous. I love that. But when I clocked that Dina was about to get bit and Ellie had to like split decision, decide to sacrifice her hand for the bite, I jumped, I screamed, I started to tear up.
You should do reactions for the show.
I did for season 1. I stopped because I rarely do shit. I just moved to doing Star Wars, but I should have.
Yeah, that scene again. I'm gonna say it. I think I liked this better than the game. Because it showcased.
Stop it.
From a movie review. What do you say?
Gross.
Oh, gross. Oh. Derby, did you see Thunderbolts? Give us like 15 minutes or so. We're going to talk about that. It's a great movie. I like Ellie taking it for Dina. In the game, I know in the game it's about spores. They enter a segment when there's a lot of spores. Dina's mask is cracked, I think. And then Ellie gives her mask for Dina, and Dina's like, "What are you doing?" It's like, "You're going to die." She's like, "I'm immune." She's like, she can't really process it because they're like in the spores section and they have to haul ass. They have to keep on moving.
That's good.
Okay. Yeah.
Don't fuel their fire.
Who's there?
MC haters.
Group chat. Are they here? Are they in the room with us right now?
They're in the group chat. But I group chat like Thunderbolts. They did. But other things. This though, I
like because in the game. Sorry to interrupt. In the game, she saves Dina as well. But this one, I like the physical like risk. Like her arm is like physically getting bit. It just feels more visceral to me. Again, I like both versions, but this one kind of might be more appealing to me. Again, just taking the brunt of a teeth attack and Dina's right there is just like, oh my gosh.
And there's multiple shots of in the panic, Dina realizing what's happened. They don't have time to stop and address it because they're being chased, but it's clear Dina's whole world is darkening around her at that moment. Like she's probably not seeing things clearly. She's probably in like a haze state as Ellie's leading her to safety, right?
Yeah, it was just, it makes it so much like, how this is a crazy moment for Dina, and how day 1, 6 out of 9 for the Tiffany's. They're on fire today, coming in with the joke.
Yeah.
This was but I like how, especially when Dina talks about it later on, it's like I had this whole vision for our future after our hands touched. No, I'm kidding. But after the song, and then that might have been broken as soon as I saw you like get bit there. But we know Dina is so like professional with this shit. When they get to the theater, which I thought theater was just, again, a great set. Looks straight from the games. Great job,
it looks
guys.
Great. But then my heart was like, oh no.
Oh no, because Ellie's like, okay, cool, we're gonna unpack, we're gonna load. He turned around. Oh shit. Man, this was crazy.
Evan, give Isabella the Emmy.
Right, I mean, the best supporting actress Emmy is stacked, guys. I know people are all on their like Parker Posey, Lorazepam, and White Lotus bullshit, and Carrie Coon was great in that show. But Isabella is putting on a clinic. She's too good. She's from episode 1. She stole episode 1. Everybody came out of episode 1 talking about her. Episode 2, she wasn't in that much. Episode 3 and 4, back to back. She's just been great. Supporting, the definition of a supporting character, a supporting presence for Ellie and for Joel in these first 4 episodes. And her saddened fear during this case was just so heartbreaking. She's like, don't make this hard, Ellie. Like, oh my God, like this is crazy. Ellie had to lock in. She's like,
it really did. It's like, how do I address this?
Yeah, it was great.
Man, it was so phenomenal. The heartbreak you can see on her face and realizing what she's losing in her friend, because there's no thing to think in the world that anyone can survive this. Everybody we know
not at all. Like, hell, I would have been so nervous as well. I think this is just elevated from the game. I think, in my opinion, I just think because I love the way that Isabella is portraying Dina's fear here in this case. I think I have to rewatch it, guys. It's been a while since I played the game. But I think after the whole gas mask thing, they talk about it. Dina obviously sees that Ellie survived spores. So there's not a lot of like frightened discussion. There's nothing like Dina's like, I gotta shoot you now, Ellie. Because she survived spores. She breathes it in. She breathes in spores. They run out of the train tunnels. They make it to the theater. And that's when Dina mentions she's pregnant, and Ellie's kind of like pissed. Which is opposite from the game.
No, you're a burden. I don't like that.
Yeah. But I kind of do like it because Ellie is locked in terms of like how, again, game Ellie's a lot more like, I'm locked in my mission and now you're a burden to me. In this one, it's like Ellie is locked in her mission, but she's happy with Dina.
Yeah, in that sense, it's more so, in the game sense, it's more so fueling that element of like, similarly when I'm watching characters who had or should have a bit more innocence in their life are forced to do these horrible acts, and you wish they didn't have to fall into these mindsets and scenarios. That's about like that here. However, here I love, and we'll get to it in a second, but Ellie pleading to play out the best solution of like, look, you keep that gun on me all night, it's fine. And then even when she goes off and then she like wakes up freaking out from the raindrops, she's like, wait, mission failed. That's right. I just realized that's from Spider-Man.
I'm going to die.
But the commitment going there, and the fact that she's showcasing her hand because it's clearly been hours, and like there's no shake, there's no sign of deterioration. Everything's fine, the same, and it's very beautifully set from Ellie's point of view because you can't see Dina's face whatsoever from the light.
Love that. Love great creative decision where you just see the light and you can't see Dina's face, but the light is like shaking up.
It's the light and the gun, and that's
the light and the gun are both like shaking. You can tell it's like she's been up for a while. She's like when Ellie said like just watch me, Dina's been watching her. Like the light's been shaking, the gun's shaking the whole time as Ellie's still explaining to her what is happening.
Yes.
And it was phenomenal here. And then the light turns off, and you see how tired and how you still kind of like confused Dina is. But she accepts it because Ellie's like, it's fine. It's been here a while, and she's right. And that's when the light turns off, and she walks up to Ellie, and I'm like, what is happening here?
And then she's lets go like, I'm pregnant. Oh, what?
Boom.
Boom. Boom.
X.
Because Evan, this is probably the most like fuck everything keeping you back. Like you thought you lost the entire world, and then you realize you're still alive in it, and
you get a second
alive
chance
with you. Yeah. So it's just like, no, never mind. I thought I lost everything. I'm not gonna take any more of this time for granted. I'm just going all in, and it's beautiful. It is such a beautiful moment.
I couldn't agree more, man. Like she gets a second chance to be with the one she loves, and some people are like, this scene took me out because it was so jarring. I'm like, it felt so natural to me. It felt so natural where it's just like, is it weird and reckless? Yes, but that's who humans are, right? Like, like when you're in love, you make these crazy decisions, just out of the box, like just letting loose, especially in a world that is like weighted on you, like this apocalyptic darkness. She gets a second chance with Ellie. She lives. She's happy. She tells her pregnant. Like they're being so vulnerable in that moment. Like Ellie tells her deepest secret. Dina in turn says like her at this moment deepest secret, and then just like unload. Like this love just comes out through this amazing sex scene. It was great. It was amazing. I was happy. Ellie went straight for the pants. I was like, okay, Ellie. She's been waiting for this.
It's like, okay, yeah, let's go. And then it just continues even more so, like straight into the morning. I don't think we ever even cut away at all. It's just like it is.
No, on a dirty ass ground, a dusty ass theater. I was like, oh shit.
Listen, man, do what you got to do. Got busy.
Sorry, but like some people I've been reading some comments. People are like, I would have much preferred this in the tent scene, and I just couldn't disagree more.
Oh, so okay, they hook up in the weed store, right? Originally in the game,
yeah, they kiss, and then I think they make out. But then after when Jesse comes in, most of their clothes are off. So I guess they had sex at the weed store. But yeah,
but I think this service is so much better into that instead of just like the slow burn. Like, oh hey.
Yeah, it happened very quickly. It happened very quickly. I like the burn. I like them establishing, going on the journey first, being with each other first, and then making out here.
Yeah, not only that, but the crescendo of feeling you've lost everything and then realizing you hadn't. I think it just makes it all the more impactful, and I think it's better.
I agree. Different experiences, but I think this is better because in the first one, the weed store, and it adds a personal element because like while Ellie is being with the one she loves, Joel is losing his life at the same moment. So it's a great, juxtaposition.
Sure.
But this one, I like it as well. Everything you said, I agree with. It's a great crescendo. It builds and builds to this moment, and now they are locked in. Not that they were not locked in before, by the way. Like Dina was locked in supporting Ellie on this mission. And she was locked in emotionally with Ellie. She just had some questions, her inner questions, and I like how those inner questions get addressed here in this final scene.
Yeah, and even if it's not being juxtaposed with the death like in the original, I think this is equally powerful because it's like a beautiful light born from the darkness.
Mm-hmm.
which
Again,
I think is great. And I think it's like the accompanies all the elements of health in a healthy state of moving forward with life. Like they're still on the mission, yes, but for like that brief moment, like we're not a focus on the mission or anything. It's just like what's actually important and what will end up being important when they go to like, the farm and they're raising the child and everything.
yeah, we're gonna look back on these bright moments as what they are, bright moments. 'Cause I think some people might be. I haven't seen this, but maybe they are. People complaining about like how Ellie is too happy in this final scene that we're about to talk about here, where they wake up, they still kiss each other. Which, by the way, Isabella talked about in an interview that they added some more kisses when they woke up that were not in the script. They were just that comfortable with each other, which is amazing. Because they said they both have been in past queer relationships in the past, so they knew kind of like what to do in this situation. Like with the whole waking up scene, it was just good. Like the head pats, the head kisses. It was just I just loved it so much. But yeah, so then that's just again a bright moment here as Dina talked about like, yeah, I'm having a kid. Ellie wakes up and she's like, I just talked about earlier the whole pregnancy stuff that she pulls out the pills to confirm. I mean the pregnancy test to confirm. Ellie was so lost. It was great, but then yeah, it's like, is this Jesse's? Like, this is Jesse, right? And it's like, yeah, this is Jesse's. So yeah, I just thought it was all great here. Kind of lost my train of thought, but yeah, in general, just it was a great scene. I was gonna bring up the whole dad scene as well. That's what I was gonna
that's exactly what I was about to say. The fact that Ellie is so locked in and on Dina's side about it, and is quite encouraging.
Yeah.
I'm freezing. Okay, I think I'm back. But yeah, the fact that she's just like, I'm gonna be a dad. It's like, oh, that hit.
It did hit. It's so emotional. She's so happy in this moment. We know we're getting a lot of darkness coming soon. But I like how it's just like you don't have to have consistent darkness. I think it works for the game because the game really weighs on you. But I like how in the show it's a little bit different here. She's a little bit more happier than what I'm expected or what I was expecting. But I like it. I like having this bright moment with Ellie because it's going to make the other moments to come even sadder. Because I think those moments have to stay. But yeah, I love Ellie locking into dad mode. We're gonna be a happy family, me, you, and Jesse. It's so funny. They like Jesse a lot, and Ellie likes her position a lot. It was so good and heartwarming. It was so truly beautiful, light, and heartwarming. And then Nathan, we get to the end here. They get a radio call. It kind of jumps them back into action here. Nora is mentioned. There's some attacks, and Nora is mentioned. I believe these attacks are from Sarah fights, but it could be from Tommy and Jesse. We don't really know. We'll get to that in a second. But yeah, they get to they know Nora. They know they look ahead. They look at Lake Hill. Lake Hill, I think, is the name of the hospital. It's either the name of the hospital or the name of that district around the hospital. But either way, they see explosions there, and that's where they're going. But most importantly, Ellie's like, okay, I'm gonna head out. You stay here, Dina, as like what happened in the game. But Dina says, no, I want to go with you. And I'm like, oh, and they hold hands. That's when the episode ends. Unlike the game, Dina is a lot more sicker in the game, and she stays and she's in charge of the radio during day 2, trying to communicate, trying to lock in locations. Yeah, Dina might be coming along with us here in day 2, at least for a bit. We know she doesn't enter the hospital. That's Ellie alone. But for at least, I think a bit of this day 2 journey, we're going to have Dina with us. So I'm very curious to see how that happens. That's, again, different from the games, but I don't mind it. I like seeing more Isabella. I don't like her just being stuck in the theater. It works for the game because Ellie alone is smart. But even then, Ellie isn't alone for the longest time because she meets Jesse eventually. Anyways, overall, great episode. I love the ending, holding hands together. They're really reunited. This episode was really all about them, and it exceeded all my expectations. I like the way they did the train scene, the sex scene, the take on me scene. Everything was so intense. Isaac was incredible. Like, this is really, man, this is great stuff. The show is really elevating a lot of material, a lot of lore, a lot of relationships are just strengthened in the show. And I'm having a great time. 3 episodes left, Nathan. But speaking of Jesse and Tommy, just a quick preview into next week. Spoilers, no spoilers. I have a source. I have a friend who has seen some episodes. He said that some of the Tommy stuff does get answered next week.
Okay.
And I'm very curious about that. We mentioned it last week. I think you did. I think we're in agreement. This whole Tommy thing, Tommy not coming first, but coming second, is interesting. I'll have to wait to see how the show does it. But as of right now, I'm cool with it. Mainly because the show is showcasing how in episode 3, which people didn't like, Tommy is, especially in that baseball scene, Tommy is so focused on protecting Ellie now. They're talking about Ellie being a liar. Was Ellie telling the truth during the town hall meeting or whatever? Doesn't matter. Tommy is so focused on Ellie, not going down the same path as Joel. With Joel gone, Tommy now has guardianship of Ellie in his head, in his mind, in his heart.
It's the last living piece of him, in a sense.
Is it lastly of Joel, you mean? Or him?
Yeah, of Joel.
Of Joel. And I think he doesn't want to lose that. And I think that's going to make for a compelling take on this Tommy, HBO Tommy, coming in to save Ellie. Instead of him being on a revenge path and Ellie goes in to track down Tommy when she's just also tracking down Abby. Again, I like the way the show's doing it. I have to wait to see how it cooks because I like how in Act 3 of the game, Tommy is so still dead set on you got to go out there and kill Abby. He kind of berates Ellie. That might have to change. But again, I'm open for these changes. I like the way they do it in the game. I'll see how they do it in the show. So I like the idea of Tommy is now a guardian, a father figure for Ellie. He can't let her die. He has to protect her at all costs. And that's going to drive him to save the last vestige, the last legacy of Joel, his brother. He couldn't be there for Joel. He had to protect the town, which again, I love that decision. He couldn't be there for his brother when his brother was dying. Now he can be there for Ellie. That's going to propel him to save the day, or at least to come save Ellie. And imagine if Tommy gets hurt by doing that, guys. I think we know in the game, Abby shoots him in the eye.
Right.
She kills Jesse and then shoots him in the eye. It's just oh shit! We thought we lost 2 there in that scene, but Tommy.
That's the most insane one too. Any new watching audience member is gonna be like, no.
They're oh my god! So we'll see what happens there, which is it's gonna compound upon Ellie's decision making in terms of going to Seattle in the first place.
Do you think we go to that theater shooting this season?
I don't know. We have 3 episodes left. We know we're getting Seattle Day 2 next week. We're getting the journey there. We're getting Nora. We're getting cordyceps, or we're getting spores. I mean, and it's going to end on Ellie killing Nora. By the way, the chase scene looks crazy in the preview. Nora's falling down an elevator shaft. I'm oh, what is happening here? I can't wait. But either way, so Day 2 is episode 5. Episode 6 is flashback.
Okay. Right.
There's no way. Can they? So 5 is Nora. 6 is flat. Well, by the way, everybody and their mother is praising episode 6. They say it's the most emotional episode of the series. And episode 6 is all flashback, at least mostly flashback, of why Ellie and Joel split up. Ellie going to Utah. You lied to me kind of scene. Ellie, is probably going to go into the whole Ellie, Joel, and Eugene. Joel killing Eugene. That's going to be part of the flashback. Which again, I think Eugene kind of found out what happened. Maybe I don't know. But either way, then episode 7, can they fit? They're going to fit Day 2 into episode 5. They could fit Day 3 into episode 7. But Day 3 is a lot. Where her and Jesse, it's storming. Her and Jesse go to Hillcrest. I think Hillcrest is Day 3. I don't know. But either way, there's a big journey. There's a mall sequence that's large. They could skip that though, because it's not story oriented. But Day 3 it's like the whole aquarium scene. She's looking for Abby at the aquarium. She kills Owen and Mel. Mel was pregnant. She then gets back to the theater at night. She meets up with Tommy and Jesse. They talk about how, like, it's time to head back. Ellie is broken from having killed Mel, who was pregnant. And I think Ellie at that point is ready to go back to town. I think we would never really know, because the next morning, or I think it's the same night. I don't know anymore. I think it's the same night. Same night. They're talking at the theater. They hear a gunshot when Tommy goes, they hear a gunshot. They walk in. Tommy's on the ground. Jesse immediately gets shot, and then Abby's like, you should have just,
should have stayed away.
Should have stayed away. Cut to black. Can they do all that in one episode, in one finale episode? They could.
Maybe. I'd be intrigued.
The big story part is the aquarium. The journey to get to the aquarium can be rushed. It can be short.
I can definitely respect them saving any like full emotional development of Abby for the next season, so that the audience, like, similar to when you're playing the game, it's just like, oh, I got to get Abby. We got to go get Abby. And then when you see the other perspective and spend time with it, you're like, oh, okay, this is a bit more complicated, more complex. And then also, I think it'll definitely help when you showcase Abby helping Lev around.
Yeah, again, I always say this, like, people were upset about the motivations. Just gotta say it again. Abby's motivations were never the big turning point. When people hear the motivations of the game, they're like, oh, dang, I get it now. I get it, Abby. They get her motivation. They don't get her killing Joel. It still angers players. It still makes them upset, regardless of her motivation. It's not, the people's opinions will not be changed with Lev and Nara. They don't change based on the motivation. So even though the show gave us motivations early, we still don't want her to kill Joel. It still affects us. We still root for Abby to kill her. At least I do at this moment. And I know what happened. So I'm cool with it. So yeah, day 3, the finale. I'm very curious to see what they do there. Hopefully it's not too rushed. I'll be more happy if they had 7 and 8 to do, but I trust Craig and Mason so far.
For sure.
3 episodes left. I'm ready for episode 5. Episode 6. Oh, before we leave, I can say again, I'm getting more and more not worried, but I'm more and more sure that we are getting the port scene this season. I think that's how they'll end episode 6. And I'm getting more and more. I know this is going against what I said earlier in this podcast, in this season. I might be okay with it, because
I think they do the port scene before the like done talking with Joel scene.
No, I think the port scene is going to be the end of episode 6, because like in my opinion, or in my theory, episode 6 is going to be all the flashbacks that we get from the game about, like, they'll just speedrun the flashbacks, because in the game there's like a flashback, action sequence, flashback, action sequence, flashback. It's not all in one episode, or at least one sequence. But I think we'll get the museum, we'll get the Ellie going back to Utah. You lied to me, blah blah blah. And I think we do get the talk this season. That probably be that last scene, episode 6. Why? Because they teased it this season. The relationship with Joel is paramount to this season. And I think as an audience member, you want resolution again this season for that connection between Ellie and Joel. The port scene fantastically comes at the very, 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 very end of the game, when she's choking Abby in the water. And she's getting ready to kill her. And then boom, flashback hits. Joel and Ellie reconnect a bit. It's the best scene in the entire series. And then she lets go of Abby. Why? Up to interpretation, which I still love. Maybe she, whatever. We'll talk about that later. But like, if that happened to the show, that would be the end of season 3. If that, because then Yeah, it would be, or maybe even season 4 stuff. Because if season 3 is going to be the Abby storyline, season 4 might be like Abby and Ellie going to Santa Monica. Because like, just think about that, guys. Like, Abby day 3 or Abby storyline is going to be all season 3. Do they have time for Abby's storyline to also include the Santa Monica stuff? And then when Abby's dying, then you're going to come back to what they teased in season 2. Like, as a show, guys, isn't that ridiculous, Nathan? Like, because season 2 comes out in 2025. Season 3 is going to come out maybe 2026, most likely 2027. And then if they don't get to the Santa Monica stuff in season 3, we'll have to wait even longer just to cut back to one cutscene of Ellie and Joel talking. It works in the game because you can just play consecutively. For TV show, you don't have that luxury. I think I am getting more and more okay with them doing it this season. You don't have the pleasure, you don't have the opportunity to wait. Now, granted, when Ellie does kill or struggle to kill Abby in the game or in the show, now the ball's on them. What do you showcase there? What do you have Ellie see in that moment? Do you do a flashback? Do you do something else? I don't know. That's up to Craig and Neil. I think it's going to have to be different if they do the port scene now rather than later. So
I think if they could do, because it's Lev that's traveling with Abby, right?
Yeah.
I think if you could do a thing where if you can mirror like season 1 young Ellie traveling with Joel with the visuals of Abby moving with the young Lev in different like flashes of the mind, like staring at them and then seeing not just themselves, but like physically seeing Joel in like Abby in Joel's role of what saved her from just being whatever she would have been without Joel. And then kind of reflecting in that sense would be kind of interesting.
Ellie doesn't know Lev and Abby's relationship at that point. She doesn't care, but audiences do. And I think Ellie just simply looking at that and then just having a flashback to an original scene from season 1 that audiences and gamers haven't seen. You could just do a fucking car scene. You can do a journey scene when they're talking in between certain sequences in season 1 that we never got. Think of it as like a deleted scene. Like that could be a very, very cool thing.
But I think audiences will also get it because if they adapt the part in the game where Ellie threatens Lev to make Abby fight, and that it would be a double hitter of like I'm seeing Joel and Abby, and now I'm seeing what I hated about Abby and myself.
That would hit. So yeah, I'm confident that there's a ton of reasons they can get that without using the port scene. Even though again, it works in the game because it comes at a pivotal time that might not have that luxury again for the show. But yeah, let's dive into. Let's dive into Thunderbolts. And our love of Thunderbolts. So that's right for Last of Us. We'll come back next week for episode 5, the Nora episode. But getting to Thunderbolts here. Before we begin, straight spoilers from the jump for this movie.
Yes.
Straight spoilers. Overall, though, I really loved it. No spoilers. I really loved it. Character work is amazing. The emotionality, if that's a word, for the movie really works. The team, there was a question about like, what are your favorite team up movies or whatever. I don't know if this is like top 5 or anything, but it does hit the hallmarks of a great team up movie from the, the conflict to their camaraderie. That angle, that journey was very good. The acting was phenomenal, especially Florence Pugh and I keep saying Bill Pullman, Bob's character. Lewis Pullman, son of Bill Pullman. And I'm a big fan of Bill Pullman growing up. But and David Harbour was also a scene stealer as well. They were all very good, but I think those 3 in particular were the heart of the movie for me. And the action was very good. I expected that from this movie. And yeah, I think across the board, this was a very strong, like 4 out of 5 Marvel movie for me. I really, really had a great time with it. Some of my criticism was just like, I wish all the characters got as much work as Florence Pugh and Bob. Like we flash back to a little bit of Walker's character. I wanted a bit more from him, especially in the 3rd act.
Okay.
And I wanted more from my girl Ghost, who was very cool in the movie. I loved her.
Yeah.
She's great. But I just wanted more, as much. I think they just did like Yelena and Bob,
Yeah.
but didn't do enough for the other.
I think it'll be interesting to discuss that with you because I think I can offer you a bit more in John's story perspective.
Okay.
Ghost definitely should have gotten a bit more, but there are some nice crumbs in there for her.
Cool.
I think
for sure. But overall, and like the whole storyline and stuff like that, I'm still not the biggest fan.
I was sitting like after the movie, and I was like, I don't think they should have marketed Taskmaster at all.
Me neither.
Because I think that also would have been just like a fun surprise of just, what you're here, maybe not for long, but like at least like for a second, you'd be like, waha.
And I'm not the biggest fan of Louis Dreyfus's
Julia Louis-Dreyfus. Yeah,
Julia Louis-Dreyfus. I'm still not the biggest fan of her. Her character's just not doing it for me, but she was cool in the way she was used in this movie. And I like Mel a lot.
I think this is the best she's been used.
I agree. Yeah. I didn't like her that much in Black Panther 2. She felt so jarring in Black Panther 2. Whenever I watched that movie,
she didn't have to be there. Like the other points where she does pop up, like I think
Hawkeye and
she's in that post credits of Black Widow to set up Yelena for Hawkeye and the connection there, and also she's introduced in Falcon Winter Soldier in connection with John, and it's ultimately set up for this film. So like watching those scenes, I'm like, all right, sure, we'll see how she feels. And I wasn't feeling her by Black Panther, but I think finally getting to this point, I was like, okay, cool. Like that was set up, whatever. But like now, I'm actually like I'm into the dynamics of her with these people.
Exactly. She fits everything that they're against.
Sure, I could see that.
Amanda Waller is a way better character than
in functionality. I get
in functionality though. Yes. And yeah, this is one of the most creative and fun and meaningful third acts we've seen in a Marvel movie that really helped seal the deal. Because those are where Marvel movies, like in terms of ranking, I always like, how was the third act though? And I think this one helps up with the ranking in terms of like a great third act, can make it for a great Marvel movie. Other ones is just like bad third act, get out of here. And overall, great stuff. So great movie overall. But yeah, let's get into spoilers now. In terms of character journeys now. Where do you want to begin?
At the start, I suppose, with Yelena on the building.
Start of something new.
I love how personable. Yeah, it's funny. I remember the behind the scenes, like Florence is jumping off and doing the stunt, and then also this guy with the camera on his head is also doing the stunt behind her. There is no behind jump shot in this movie.
No, it's the same thing that happened in Dead Reckoning. It's like the motorcycle scene is marketed so much, and I love the scene, but I think me and you both were like, the way they shot it and edited it could have been better.
Yeah, it's the editing. I like the stunts, but because they cut away from it so often, like I want to feel like the momentum of climbing that hill. Go, boom! Oh my god!
Right? I want to go on the drop with you, Tom. Like just like in Fallout with the plane sequence,
the Halo jump. Yeah,
we follow him from the putting on the mask to dropping till he lands. We're locked in. There's no cutting. Same thing for this one, where it's like she jumps, then we get a wide shot. I'm like, like I want to see the back of her. Like I want to see her do the jump. Because like if it's a wide shot, I'm like, oh, that's her stunt double. But if I can tell if it's actually her because we're not locked into her immersively.
Sure.
But either way, we know it was her, and it's still cool stunt. And like you said, the beauty of it all is like this is where the monologue begins, and this is where the show or the movie really like separates itself, makes it unique.
Yeah. But yeah, I love it. I like the discussion of like that feeling of emptiness and that lack of sense of purpose. And it's a great they have a great framing for the ending there where Yelena's fighting the guys in the hallways and the shadows are being cast, and it's just like it's the mindless violence that isn't fulfilling or doing anything for you, mirrored with like the imagery of the shadows just kind of taking the beating, and it reflects the ending climax of the movie.
Yeah, where like these guys are silhouetted, feeling of feeling that nothingness, that void. And I like how, like you said, it does parallel at the end. It's a great point in terms of like they're basically shadows. She's fighting her demons here. It was a great. I think in general, this is a great evolution of Yelena's mindset, just given everything that we've come to see from Yelena.
Yeah. I think she was good from the jump in Black Widow, but I think Florence has been able to craft this character even better with each installment that we see her. She gets better every time.
Agreed, and it's a great next step because while she has great chemistry with Kate, it's like you can still feel like that, like she's just doing a job for Valentina in that show. Like there's still a feeling of emptiness that tracks with everything we've seen of her before this. Especially, and she says like maybe it started when my sister died. That's a big part of it, but it isn't just that too, which I like.
That's good stuff. I like that stuff. I like how that also sets up kind of like the, in the midst of losing Natasha, she didn't have her father as well during that time.
And a great point. It cuts to like her scene with David Harbour in their first reunion scene, which is very funny. Him clearing across all the beer and tables, like he's living a miserable life too.
Brushing teeth with soap. I was like, oh, don't do that.
Oh.
Like, no.
If somebody talks to me, I'm like, why do you smell like soap, my guy? Like that would have immediately put me off if I'm Yelena. I'm like, let me sit across from you, bro. But it was a very funny scene, but I like this whole father-daughter dynamic. It was so special.
Yeah, I like that's always been like a big character point with Red Guardian. Is like he felt he was promised to be so much more, and he does reminisce on like the glory days of the height of his superheroing, and now he's just kind of here, and like nobody even like hardly knows who he is and such. Kind of fall guy for the country type deal. But I like the scene he shared. It really does feel like his main crux and his emotional arc through the movie is just reconnecting with Yelena in a time when she needs it the most. I think it's a supporting role for Yelena, and I think it works wonders.
Yeah, there was is it balancing act here, because he's the comedic gag of this movie. He's the comedic relief. But what's so beautiful about this is that like he's not funny, and this happened to a lot of Marvel movies. He's not funny for the sake of being like, I gotta insert a joke here.
He's not bumbling either. Like he's not like everything he does is like in service for the team, for Yelena, for the betterment of saving others and such. Even like the silly like I got us all suits. It's just like he cares about everybody.
Yeah, he's like the sticking glue, which is so important for the team. Like I mentioned this, I got to bring it back to Big Brother as always. But like, there's always that one person in the alliance who is like, we gotta stick together. Final 5, guys. Final 5. All the way when there's like 16 players. It's like we gotta stick together. Like you need that person who is just like locked in the group, because it makes you feel closer. Even if you have your doubts, which they do in this movie, they all have doubts about each other. But the way Red Guardian is just like so gung ho about this, it internally makes them like, you know what, fuck it, fine. And that's what makes them so cool and special towards the end. But yeah, it's like I love how he's not like so bumbling. He's really heartfelt. A lot of his comedy comes from just wanting them to be connected, and wanting himself to be connected to Yelena. And just like the comedy elevates the heart. It's not just comedy elevating comedy on top of comedy. It's not like Thor movies where it's just like joke. This is just elevating the heart of the movie, which I thought was just very smart. There's still some comedy that's hit and miss, but that was every Marvel movie. But
and that was something I would have been worried about, because I think even in Black Widow, he can sometimes be just like,
I agree. He has that one good talk with Yelena again in Black Widow. But yeah, there's other moments I'm just like, okay, what are we doing here?
But they really like found like the perfect like footing for this character. He's silly in like the What If episode, and that's fine.
Even though moving ahead, since we're doing spoiler talk now, I am worried.
Hey, Jalen,
what's up, Jalen? I am
come
worried.
On camera.
Right, Jalen, lock in. Give him the StreamYard link. But I am worried. I am worried about how the Russo brothers are going to use Red Guardian. I trust the Black Widow director here. This is the guy that directed Beef on Netflix, so he has a lot of good like heart to heart, stuff here. The Russos with Red Guardian, I'm like,
somebody gave a compelling idea of like, we come off of like, you know, you have a jokey character, but like he when it's serious and we lock in, it's really good. And somebody brought up the idea of like what the Russos were able to do with Thor and Infinity War, like coming off of Ragnarok, and I was like, that's clean, that's good. I trust it.
People still argue that Thor and Infinity War is the best Thor they've gotten because the Russo brothers.
And I know that I know people kind of like step off when they get to Thor's arc in Endgame, but I think I really like his arc in Endgame from an emotional standpoint. Yeah, there's jokes here and there as Marvel does, but I think it works a lot.
Some of it doesn't work for me. The Fortnite stuff is like okay, but like
sure.
The other stuff, the prologue Thor is good,
prologue, the scene with his mom,
exactly,
and when he does like lock in for when he's like desperate to like be the one to snap everybody back because he feels like he has nothing to actually offer.
Exactly. So you're right. So it does give me some confidence with the Russos and Red Guardian, but overall, I thought he was good here.
Yeah, this was confirmed by the director.
It was confirmed, and you can kind of feel it. There's a big visual shift.
There's a vibrancy.
There's a big vibrancy.
Down a little more, which I was like, I more so just like, we're in like the super bright skyrise. I'm like, yeah, sure. We're wearing colorful suits as well.
It's early in the morning. Yeah.
We got new hairdos, which I'm like, all right, cool.
Yeah, whatever. So yeah, I am intrigued by the look of Doomsday. It was confirmed the cinematographer from Doomsday is a guy that shot Days of Future Past, which I think is a very beautiful looking movie. Days of Future Past.
I think so.
So other people don't agree, but I think it is. So I'm very stuffed. Yeah, super high saturation. What's so cool about Thunderbolts is that like it was gray, but not gray as in like bland for Marvel standards.
It was like, actually colored very well.
It was colored very well, and I'm mostly talking about the third act here, with it being gray in a purposeful setting there. But yeah, overall, yeah.
I we'll talk about the post credit scene in a bit, but yeah, I like the color grading there. It's not like intense destroy your eyes Justice League 2017 saturation. It's just these are like vibrant color. It's like Guardians 2 vibrancy, and I'm like, okay, yeah, cool.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. In general, the Red Guardian Yelena scene at the beginning was so good. Like she was just like she's not being as vulnerable as she eventually becomes towards the end, where she just lets loose to her honest thoughts. Yeah. But I like their beginning reunion here. She kind of at this moment needs a dad, and I like the arc of her direction where she's doing all these like miscellaneous tasks, and she calls up and spurred on by Red Guardian here. She wants publicity in a way, right? Like, how'd you describe that?
She wants to offer something that actually like affects the world, like not just like these hidden shadow op things. Like she wants to actually like do something within the public eye that will better the actual like everyday people, not just like these shadow ops.
Which I think is an important step for her. The darks were dark, e.g. the void, and Dawn's reds were duller, but everything was still visible. Agreed. Totally. Yeah, great point.
From no Dark Knight scenes where I couldn't see anything. Like I actually like could see everything.
Yeah, exactly. Which is rare for a Marvel. I could see everything that's happening.
It's rare for a lot of things today.
A lot of movies, yeah. It's like Jesus Christ. I hate nighttime scenes where you can't see shit.
TV scares me. Last of Us has also been good with night.
Last of Us has been very good with lighting. I agree, man. I agree.
We're like, let's get some fire in here.
Yeah. But yeah, I like this stage for her because that's kind of what Natasha went on. She did a lot of dark stuff in her past, a lot of dark stuff with Clint, but like she found a purpose being with the Avengers, being in that spotlight area. So much so that in the end of Winter Soldier, she's able to stand in front of an entire press meeting and denounce S.H.I.E.L.D. and stuff. So I like
recognition. That was a big recognition for Natasha's arc in Endgame. Like she's talking to Steve in the beginning, like after they've lost everybody that they care about. It's like, she says she used to have nothing until she found this family and like this sense of belonging and purpose. And I think Yelena's on that stepping stone right now.
Exactly. Which is so beautiful. This whole movie is about her finding that bigger journey. It gets me so excited to see what she does in Doomsday and beyond because we know she's safe. Yeah. She won't die. Right? No way.
No, not this early.
No.
I need the Thunderbolts trilogy, Kevin.
but she's so great in this movie. She is astonishingly great, and this whole scene with her father beginning is just one of many.
It really is. That does about bring us to the stuff. Yep.
Yeah, we just jump straight to
Valentina is pretty like self-explanatory with the connective web of just like pushing them further along into trying to get them out.
Everything's got to go.
but we send Yelena to follow Ghost, in essence, inside to stop her from stealing something because they're trying to keep the things under wrap. And I really like the progression of this. Like she's there for Ghost, and then oh fuck, John's here attacking Yelena. Is like I'm not here for you, I'm here for you. And then John's going, and then bam, Taskmaster's here. Like oh fuck, Taskmaster looks at Yelena. I'm not here for you.
Yelena's there for Ghost. Ghost is there for Taskmaster. Taskmaster is there for John, and then John's there for Yelena. It was a great series of events. It wasn't too confusing at all. It was a little bit jarring.
They stopped like the amount they needed to.
Exactly, just the small amount that they needed to, and the action scenes were lit. I love Ghost's powers. Her powers are incredible.
It is so really fun.
Yelena having an emotional journey along with the others makes for a great glue. Exactly, her emotional heart is like the heart of it all. The initial meetup could have been too cheesy, but it was paced very well. It was this meetup was so much fun. This is how you do like a Suicide Squad-esque kind of like crazy meetup. I always think one of my favorite meetups for these kinds of movies is in the first Guardians movie, where they're in the jail, the whole prison break scene. It's like it's a hot melting pot of events, but within that prison scene, we get great moments of like, oh, this is why Rocket's so cool. Him being able to build something in the spur of the moment, his help with Groot, what Star-Lord's leadership, Gamora's like action flexibility. The way she's morning in with everybody. It's so cool.
Which was a perfect stepping stone from their initial meeting where they're all like chasing the orb around town before getting arrested. They're all fighting each other, getting in each other's way. And that's exactly what's happening here too. They're getting in each other's way, but then when we get to the climax, and I'm going to gush about like the collective saving toward the end. But like I think it's all handled quite well. And then the curveball of Bob gets thrown in after Taskmaster gets taken out.
Out of nowhere, so soon. Jalen was like, "Already?" I was like, "Damn!" He just shot in the head.
Very good. Okay. I was like, "You want to go on one?" It's so funny. Somebody pulled up like an early trailer of Thunderbolts. Taskmaster standing in the fucking tower in like the third act in the trailer.
Is he? No way.
I was like, "Did you CG Taskmaster in there?"
Did that?
There was apparently some early stuff with Taskmaster. I think Taskmaster was originally part of the whole thing, and like. She was going to be going through a situation where she kept having memory loss, where she kept trying to kill John every like half hour or something, and it kept getting in the way. Like that would have been funny.
That'd have been funny, but it would have been funny just for being funny. Like, where's the heart in that? Like that. Made up plus character position was a great idea in Guardians of the Galaxy and this. Yeah, we got a lot of character work in this one meetup. In terms of could we learn like what after they all like take a breath and realize like, hey. We're getting sent here to die. I like John's initial CT and the Hawk adventures. Yeah, like when the Hawk's doing the whole like Russian thing.
I did get kind of excited for a second when Taskmaster was throwing the shield around because I did remember. Oh yeah, that's right. You studied and copied every Avenger move, and that was a really cool aspect in Black Widow.
Yeah, I agree. But I like after when they're all having the breather. John's still like mansplaining to them, and he's like, "There's no way like I would get betrayed." Like, John, smell the air. We're about to get burned alive here.
There's a lockdown and a red light flashing, and he's like, "Oh, they're probably just picking me up." Stop it.
I was like, "This guy's an idiot."
He is. He's very like full of himself because he hasn't had that time of like reflection really.
Yeah.
You just kind of and that's the thing with like all of them, right? They're kind of just burying themselves in their work, not actually taking time for their mental health, which is a big theme in the movie, which is great because that's also like a core element of the character of Sentry in the comics, and it's Mental Health Awareness Month right now, which is a perfect time to release.
I'm shocked there wasn't like at the end credits like, hey guys, go to therapy, like. Shout out therapy. Like at the
if
end,
you or somebody you know is struggling,
right? Right? I think
there might be something in the credits. You don't know.
Maybe, yeah. I actually liked Sentry in this, and this is coming from me who hated Sentry in the comics.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Interesting. Yeah, I haven't had that much familiarity with Sentry in the comic books. Yeah.
But yeah, I like they're all collectiveness. I love Bob's introduction. I like how fidgety he is in a sense. He's a bit like very out of his element, very uncomfortable. He's literally just a person, and that's his whole story and background is like he's just a person who fell into hard times, addicted to drugs, and was trying to like find either help or more drugs before Valentina essentially preyed on this man. And it just happened to be one of the test subjects that survived because they showed photos of like many failed bodies in this experimentation.
Yeah, like that's some dark shit. Like they get into Valentina doing some dark stuff, but like they don't really nail how dark that is. Like there's tons of like dead bodies probably in a lab from what Valentina was doing with this Sentry project, and Bob is just like the lucky survivor. Like that is some dark shit. Like this is a drug survivor from like Breaking Bad, crystallized meth. He was taking the Walter White stuff, and he survives. Just luckily, randomly, and unfortunately for Bob, though, it goes his survival kind of, elevates his worries and his his desires at the same time in terms of like what he becomes. And I found it to be very, very interesting. His whole arc.
Absolutely.
It was very compelling.
But when the group ends up finally finding a way to escape out of the room, that's from the explosion. Everybody kind of gets knocked out for a second, and that's our first look into Yelena's mind and what she struggles with in her past, which was her first mission indoctrinated as a Black Widow to like lure an innocent person into the woods and being killed because it's just a child, right? So it was probably just like a situation where like her father probably was like tied up in some shit and like his wives were comply and shit, and they took out the child, and Yelena aided in that, and I could see how that would be so scarring.
Yeah, you can tell this isn't just some random girl. This is somebody that had a connection to Yelena, and Yelena. It's all about how in the Black Widow program severing relationships, and that's what happened. Severing that relationship, getting her first indirect kill there, really scarred her. I love that. That was just such a jarring but cool realization when you realize he's touching Bob, and the look that Bob gives Yelena of like confusion, but just like like an interest there. I was like, I love this. I love this so much.
I loved it a lot. I mean, you don't frame the slow close up eyes waking up, looking at one another as if you've woken up in bed, and it's like, it's so sibling code. Shut up, get out of here. Get out of my server.
Yeah, we can finally talk about that. The whole like everybody online is saying like Yelena and Bob should be sibling coded. Why the fuck?
Why
should be sibling coded? Why? What do you gain out of that? I'm so tired of this.
I have understood. I have understood arguments for characters of just because they're man and woman, they don't have to end up together. And absolutely, I understand that argument for many different things. However, there is also an open door you can have where if there is a possibility for them to explore something like that, you absolutely could. Especially when I have a lot of evidence to support my claim that I think they should end up together. Okay. Of why I ship them.
Go on, just do it now.
Yeah, I love like those moments when they're waking up and that connectivity, like like their fingers touching. I was like, you don't just have them waking up like that. Come on,
being so vulnerable, going inside of their darkest nightmares, and even though it does happen to like John in a follow-up scene here where Bob goes into John's nightmare. The way Yelena reacts to it is different from the way John reacts to it. John is still just like, okay, that's Bob, whatever. John says sibling code is cute, but also boring. Like, who else are they going to be interested in? Like, right? It's just like, what are we doing here? Even though I ship Kate and Yelena, but if you're not giving me Kate in this, where has Haley Steinfeld been?
Yeah. I respect the idea. In like the first Avengers movie, there was a cut subplot with Steve maybe flirting a relationship with this waitress who was played by Ashley Johnson, by the way. and it was like, oh, maybe that could be something. Even Stan Lee in a alternate cameo was like, ask for a number, you moron. And it's like, okay, yeah, it'd be interesting, but also like, who is this woman? Versus like a main player. Again, they tried again with Steve with Emily Van Camp's character. That didn't end up going much anyway. And now she's
I love Civil War, but yeah, that movie wasn't. She's not Power Broker. Stop it. She's a useless character.
She's in the government right now. We're doing nothing.
She's
I thought it was going to be for Armor Wars, and now that's not happening. But
it's going to be a movie. What do you mean?
I'm waiting. But that being said, I love what they do with Bob and Yelena. The follow up when stuff's getting tricky to escape, and Bob is just like, well, maybe you should just leave me here. It'll probably be easier. And Yelena is just take a pause. And like, and yes, this is also somebody who's supporting someone with mental health, but also like that starts the development of connectivity for these characters of just like being this vulnerable and caring addresses back and forth between the two.
Yeah, Yelena is immediately like hesitant for Bob to sacrifice himself and quickly defends him. Defends his right to live, basically. Defends his right to join them, to stay with them. And she like defends him a lot of the time. It's very much like automatically like defending his right to live, his right to be a part of them, be connected with them. And she's the one who's like very much like emotionally affected by his like quote unquote sacrifice. The others were just like, let's just drive away. And she just stares and looks. I'm like, it's those small things that elevate it all. The darkness plus levity of this movie: violence, drug abuse, parental abuse, self-harm, suicide, guilt, etc. Plus the comedy and positive things are great. It's a delicate balancing act, and this movie somehow managed to balance it at all, which again is rare for the MCU. This is diving into some stuff that isn't super it isn't super dark in terms of what we've seen, but for the MCU. It is, at least for the MCU.
In fairness to life itself, like these are topics that don't get openly discussed as much as it should be.
No, you're right. Yeah.
So exactly. It definitely like, I think that's why it has such a profound effect. Like even if this wasn't an MCU movie, even if it's just another movie, I would be just as equally caring because I would be like, yeah, these are real struggles that people go through. These are struggles that I know people have gone. I know of people that have gone through it. So I understand the levity and the intensity of these words that are being spoken.
It's so meaningful, and it's not just strictly service level. They dig beneath the surface by diving into the reality of these characters and their nightmares and their inner darknesses within each other. Which again, I think I would have loved it if it was more spread out. But what we got of it was really good for Yelena and for Bob and for John.
But yeah, they end up escaping. You brought up Bob's sacrifice, just wanting to be useful in a sense. And this is interesting because Bob doesn't know he's indestructible like this.
He doesn't, which makes it for a very heartbreaking scene. I'm like, this guy doesn't even know he's able to survive, and he's willing to just get lit up. Like, holy shit, that's dark. That's crazy.
Yeah, I don't know if he thought there was like an alternative out, but this also does go into the effects of like yeah, these guys are heroes. They believe in like helping people, but also it's not just like I'm going to be heroic and put my life on the line because it's for the betterment of people. There is also a sense that you get from a lot of these people. They have a lot of darkness in their soul and in their mind that you kind of get the sense of like they step into this willingly, not just for heroics, but like I think they're just like accepting of ending because they don't really feel a lot of the times the need to keep going.
Exactly, which is so sad. Just think about it from Bob's perspective. He was a drug addict, been to some very big parental abuse and some dark times. He takes this test where he can become, the promise of becoming better. He thinks he dies. He wakes up in this like red room, whatever, quickly explodes. He's with this random team. But he likes them. They actually accept him, especially Yelena. But then he sacrifices himself. He doesn't think he's going to live, which is just a whole dark series of events for Bob. But he does, though. He does live. He does get powers beyond his imagination. I wonder how much his generation is affected. Like he can take all those bullets. If somebody
Mhm.
stabbed him in the chest, like what's the damage that he can take?
He,
Probably not getting his head cut off. Is probably can't be good. But
I'll,
like,
honestly, dude, I
is
think
his
he
neck?
might be.
Is he like? Is it like
I,
defensible here? I don't know.
I'm not sure. I guess it could depend on like the level of power in a weapon. Like a Stormbreaker could maybe do some. I don't. Maybe not though, because I genuinely believe this might be one of the most indestructible people I've ever seen. In
Right?
this
Like
universe.
imagine Thor comes in and Stormbreaker like impales him with Stormbreaker, just like pinned him to the ground with his war axe.
I'll be honest, Evan. I feel like it'll bounce off.
It's crazy.
I really do. I think we found our new strongest Avenger. But the unfortunate situation is he blacks out.
He can't lock in. He can't lock in anymore. At the end, at least.
Because I even saw people were like, "How the fuck is anybody
Doomsday.
in Doom? How's Doom going to beat this guy?" Which he's got to be God Emperor at a point, so he probably could. But also, just turning the Void loose is enough to like hinder. It's like a self-made kryptonite. You can't.
They did a great job, and I kind of had this idea going into like, okay, in Doomsday, he probably going to be. I think we talked about it before the movie came out. We were like, oh, the movie's going to end with like talk no jutsu. That was my theory. Like they're going to talk him out of it, and they kind of, but they do a much, deeper version by the hugging part.
Mm-hmm.
But I like how the end where it's just like he can't lock into his powers anymore because he's afraid of turning into the Void rather than like Sentry.
Yeah. Because this didn't cure him, like this event. Like it definitely helped him in like coming out of that dark moment, but that doesn't mean he's cured. He's better.
Not at all. Yeah.
It would take a lot of work. It would take like Bucky level de-brainwash work of therapy to help Bob.
Exactly. And he's scared. He doesn't want to go to that dark place again, which is why he hasn't used his powers. But regardless of using his powers, he still is like a good shield for them. If something happens, he can still fly, right? Maybe.
Maybe. I guess it does depend. There's an interesting level of sentience when he is the Sentry. Like he has like the understandings and like memories of like himself as Bob, but I don't know if it's a full different persona. But I think someone suggested that there might be like a little like gap in between Bob and Sentry, and then the Void.
Okay, it's very interesting. But yeah, they escape. Sentry lives, and he goes into the sky. He pulls a Human Torch. He goes too high.
I'm always excited to watch somebody fly for the first time. It's always my favorite part of a lot of the stories.
Yeah, Iron Man does it great. Superman does it brilliantly in Man of Steel. I love that scene.
That's really good.
It's great here.
Yeah, man. So yeah, that ends up happening. They end up going to the desert. Red Guardian picks them up. I think that was a very adorable. Like
that was so adorable.
Don't go in. It's already happened.
Yeah, they're coming. Oh yeah, I was like, oh great. He just has a thumb up. Beautiful, fantastic.
It's perfect.
Big bad vibe.
But yeah, I like the progression of that. I like the hunting down. What's that?
The chase scene here, right?
Yeah,
that next in the highway here.
It is. I think it was very compelling. I think it was really cool seeing the ineffectiveness of a lot of them in this moment. Like realizing, like we're not the Avengers power set. We really are just kind of like mercenary people, and we don't have the ability or the resources at this moment. If Bucky hadn't saved them, they probably would have been out for the count.
Oh, they would have been obliterated. They would have got worked in. They would have got Swiss cheese, as the kids say these days.
Bucky, by the way, maybe one of the coolest scenes he's had.
Big time. I think this is the coolest he's been. I don't know. There's been a lot of Bucky scenes that are cool, but this is one of the coolest scenes he's been since getting reformed as Bucky. Like he had some awesome scenes in Winter Soldier.
As Winter Soldier, yeah.
As Winter Soldier, but not as Bucky. But yeah, this is pure T2. One of my favorite, probably my favorite chase scene in all of cinema is the LA chase sequence in T2 when he's on the when he's in like the LA getting chased by T1000 and Arnold is over here and it's big like shotgun in the right hand, driving the motorcycle in the other hand, reloading.
cocking it and then flipping it the direct way.
Yeah, it's so like that. I love it. James Cameron locked in. And in this movie, I just love how he comes in out of the smoke, comes in, grabs the chain, pins it to the ground.
He shoots the chain loose, he parks sideways the fucking motorcycle, jumps off so fluently, tying that shit around his wrist, just punching it into the ground because he won't move. Somehow.
Yeah, so great, so great.
It's really good, and then he still takes out the Thunderbolts.
Right? Yeah, so he's like, oh shoot, yeah.
That is funny, just seeing like John did work with Bucky in the finale of the show, where they were like on okay footing. So he was like, all right, yeah, Bucky, yeah, oh, fuck.
Yeah, I would really want to see like Bucky versus the entire team. How that would go for Bucky? He would probably get worked. Like that's a high difficulty.
I think there's enough of them to subdue Bucky in the same way that that Steve and Natasha could probably take him for after some intense fighting. But
Bucky was going off in Civil War.
He was, Iron Man,
and going off.
That's true. But however, I do think after some time, T'Challa alone could probably get Bucky.
Yeah, T'Challa was working him. He got scared. T'Challa was working his ass. But yeah, it was just him like dismantling the entire team when they were in the car was very fun. He's such a powerful character, and so it's such a cool character too. But we kind of skipped over. How do you feel about his relationship with Mel in this movie? They've had up to this point a couple phone calls throughout the sequence of events. Him trying to get Mel to reveal secrets about Valentina because they kind of need her. They need some kind of information on her. Val is sweeping everything under the rug, including the Thunderbolts. So they kind of need them. By the way, I really liked Winston Price in this movie as kind of like the antagonist towards Valentina, the congressman. Great casting. He is amazing in every single thing. He just has that like gruff, likable, I'm gonna get your ass personality that I just love. I hope he's in a lot more MCU movies as like this like out to get him politician, specifically against Valentina, because he means well and it's Val, so he's obviously right. He's like, I'm gonna get your ass. It just feels very clean. He's like, oh, did you find anything? He was like, we didn't find anything, but it looks as like you just swept everything under the rug. It was just some great tension between him and Valentina. I really liked it. And him and Bucky were a cool duo.
Absolutely. Catching up on some of the comments real quick, Jim, was in regard to Sentry.
Dylan says, I don't know. I thought he was basically MCU Superman. Just like, it'll take a lot. Yeah. Like, Superman can get stabbed. He can get stabbed. It'll just... It's kryptonite,
hard.
Kryptonite.
Honestly, we'll talk about Sentry's powers a little later, but I was like, damn, this guy's like Neo level in a sense.
Like, it was insane. It was very, very powerful.
It was.
And yeah, these people really want to see themselves. Dad says, awkward dad relationship with Red Guardian was so fun, and cool uncle of Bucky would use as a great forward to that. Yeah, Bucky has an uncle energy for sure. The unk energy.
Totally. I appreciate this comment because a lot of people aren't liking Deadpool and Wolverine right now.
Yeah, every year it's like, bro is back. I'm like, didn't you guys say this for Deadpool Wolverine? Quite. I'm not the biggest Deadpool Wolverine fan. I think it's very fun. Sure. But that's about it.
I definitely like it more than most, I guess. Even though it made $1 billion.
Right.
But yeah.
And Daredevil was a mixed bag, but the last 2 episodes are great. But yeah.
It's okay, Evan. We're post overhaul, not just of the Daredevil show, but apparently the studio itself in recent reports from Wall Street Journal.
There was a great Wall Street Journal segment when somebody said it was so tough to talk to Kevin Feige that some people had to like meet up with him in the hallways of Marvel.
Yeah, he was so stretched thin. I was like, oh, that is troublesome. I mean, I'm happy they're not anymore.
Yeah, I would have loved it. I'm just like envisioning that. Like having watched the studio with Seth Rogen, I can kind of totally picture that. Like, hey, Kevin, what do you think the end of the Marvels? We do it this way? And he's like, yeah, sure. Like I gotta go back to set. Like whatever, thumbs up.
Yeah.
And then like he sees it and he's like, oh shit, like oh no. But you know,
apparently he wasn't apparently he wasn't as much on board of doing the Disney Plus series for some bit, which
of course he wasn't. He realized the writing on the wall, like we're doing 4 shows a year. What?
Yeah, that is jarring, especially when like they definitely had him say like, oh yeah, it's going to be just as equal importance in connectivity. I believe he genuinely meant that, but also is like, that's now my job now, where I have to connect these shows to the movies equally, and you guys have to follow it. Which I am happy that we've gotten some quality stuff as is. Like we love Miss Marvel and we love Hawkeye.
Oh yeah.
So there's good stuff, and obviously like even like from like the jump like WandaVision and Loki have been standouts for a lot of people, and I did like Falcon and Winter Soldier for the majority of the stuff. Flag Masters excluded, I guess, but I think it was great character work. It's better character work, unfortunately, than the Captain America movie that we just got. Which I hate
big time. Yeah, we were very disappointed about that. Yeah,
but back to we were discussing Mel and Bucky. You brought up
yes.
In setting up their connectivity. I like the idea of Bucky having a more like first off, a friend, which is nice, and not just like a friend who's like in the fight every day, but like somebody who's not on the battlefield, but is like well versed in the knowledge of what's going on, so they can understand on a deeper level, as opposed to just your average civilian, like the waitress I brought up earlier.
Yeah, there were some things where it's like the director was teasing that she can become the MCU's songbird.
She was like wearing a little emblem necklace.
Yeah, I'm like, just keep her normal. We don't need everybody to become a superhero. By the way, is this Mel's first time in the MCU? Have we seen her in anything before?
I haven't seen her in anything unless she's in Secret Invasion and Echo, which I don't think so. I actually was like thinking for a second. I was like, where do I know this actress? And I remember she was in Driveway Dolls.
That's what it was. Yeah. Thank you. I'm like, where the fuck? I was like, I'm going crazy because I have not. This is not my first time seeing her. But yeah, she is in Driveway Dolls, which is, if people are watching this, it's a comedic not heist, just a comedic, get to point A to point B kind of movie with her and Margaret Qualley. They're playing like girlfriends in that movie. It's like lesbian, robbers, basically.
Yeah, which sounds good on paper. I wasn't a big fan of the movie personally, but but this actress was my favorite part of it, and I think she did a great job.
Her and Margaret had great chemistry. I'll just say that. Yeah, that was the best part of the movie for sure. The movie overall was a bit messy. I agree. Also, Margaret Qualley is in another like lesbian movie from the same director, by the way, Ethan Coen.
That's right.
This one coming out this year with I think Chris Evans is like the bad guy in the movie, and she's playing like a lesbian detective in the movie. So I'm saying that. That sounds cool. Sure. But either way, but yeah, I liked her a lot in Mel. I liked her a lot in this movie. She was very good, very funny, and it was like an interesting moral compass. Because at some point she was like, "Oh yeah, just burn them," and Mel was like, "Oh, okay." It's just like it was very weird, but I do like how she quickly switched sides.
Yeah, though she does end up coming back to Val in her time of need, and that's her last scene. She doesn't pop up again after.
What's her last scene?
She is the one to deactivate Sentry with the device when she drops it. When Valentina drops it, and then they enter the elevator to go back down, and that's the last time we see Mel in the movie. And I was like, oh wait, shit, where?
Weird. She didn't get a resolution.
No, which granted that's a whole thing with the very ending itself. Which I commend. Like I thought it was going to be and where are they now? Like a segment of like the different places. But it legit just kind of like, hey, we've wrapped up the story. We've had like the biggest, like literally, like we had the most emotional crux climax of this movie, and then within 2 minutes we are in the credits. But like I feel like equally fulfilled by that.
So they make their way. They kind of like Bucky quickly realized that the Thunderbolts were being used as well, and he can't just use them as like leverage against Val. Having realized that, Bucky then is like, okay, I'm gonna use you guys. Let's team up and let's go fight Val. Let's
stop this Bob guy.
Exactly, stop this Bob guy. And they're like, well, yeah. It's like I think they quickly say like we shouldn't kill Bob, right? They want to talk to Bob at this point, right?
If not them, Yelena definitely does.
Yeah. They quickly crash into the place. Oh, by the way, I like how we got it from the trailers, but Guardian's like, yeah, in that scene because he likes the idea of them just teaming up and getting together. He's like, this is what I wanted.
The cutaway was great. Great. I wanted to talk for a second. We brought up a couple of beats with John. In his characterization, to talk a bit more because this scene has one as well. But earlier, when we do look into his darker mind that's eating away at him. When he's being a bit of a neglectful husband and father, while he's in the disparaging woes of his actions from Falcon Winter Soldier, where he's he was brought on to be the nation's Captain America, and then he disgraced the title and was banished from it and probably dishonorably discharged into these levels, which would obviously drive him into Val giving him an opportunity for the ending. So yeah, I like having that scene there. It was funny because I remember every time I would see the trailer for Thunderbolts, I was like, "Is there he's just sitting next to his child crying? Like that's terrible. What the fuck?" And then I see the context of the movie, and I'm like, "Fuck, this is heavy shit." So and I like the detail that unsubconsciously, when Walker comes to, he's about to step down the elevator shaft and fall back down. He's like one step away when he does that military step back to stance, like he's right on the edge.
That was dark. Yeah, that was
very
cool.
dark. I also love the climbing sequence that they did. I thought that was really fun.
That was really funny. That was really
yeah.
funny. It was like, oh yeah, we didn't really think this far ahead. Like, how do we get out of this?
Yeah, further connection with Yelena's arc and stuff. She went through the arc of losing Natasha and then trying to take it out on Clint. And she had a line in that show where she was trying to tell, maybe if I was there, I could have done something. I could have saved her. And Clint's trying to reassure her there was nothing to do. There was a moment mirrored in the elevator shaft where Yelena, like Clint, is hanging and he catches Natasha, she catches Bob, but in a successful way.
Yeah.
She
gets Bob in a successful way, and then the wire gets her leg as well. It was very, very cool. Very cool.
Yeah.
Great parallel. I didn't even think about that.
Yeah, but back with John, going back to when Bucky had them all tied up, Bucky brought up the fact that his wife and child left him. And Yelena does share a very empathetic look between there is a 5-second emotional beat that gets shared. That would have got cut any other time, but I'm so glad that was there.
Yeah, even though she does go off on him.
She does, but she's not just a total fuck all these people the entire time.
No, you can tell it's just her lashing out. She doesn't mean a lot of it.
Yeah, which ultimately bubbles up when she does let it all out to Red Guardian and how much she needed her father figure in the time.
Yeah,
and
she needed her papa.
Struggles.
But yeah, they confront Bob when they get to the top floor of the building, and oh, we kind of skipped over it, but Bob has a great scene with Val as well.
Yeah, when he wakes up, two scenes, when he wakes up and then when they're training his telepathy.
Great scenes. In hindsight, I can see those kind of scenes being cut and just jump starting to when he's already Sentry. But I like that because Val is feeding into his. How do you want to describe this? It's not his ego, but he gets these larger than life powers, she's
encouraging a sense of purpose for him amidst the dark times that he's had. She's effectively exploiting his trauma. His past, all while immediately going out of the room and being remake that kill switch because I need it and this is our weapon.
Yeah, she's wary of his powers. Wary of his powers. But at the same time, just wants to use it for her own personal gain, which is still pretty sick.
Yeah. So, but yeah, then we do get to where we're on the rooftop. We're in Avengers Tower. Being converted at the moment, and the Thunderbolts are all talking, and then when Bob is revealed as Sentry, a big the Boys vibes of marketing.
I like it. You mentioned the Boys, and in the Boys are kind of a parody-esque show, and some of the costumes look larger than life.
Mm-hmm.
And in this show, or in this movie, I like how the costume was very much like how it is in the comics, very big and flashy. But for a movie that's kind of muted at times in colors, intentionally so, I like how Bob's colors kind of are overexposed. They're so bright, they're so out of place, which works for Bob's character. This isn't who Bob is. This isn't the Bob that we've come to know. And that's immediately made clear to us via the costume that is so over the top. For who Bob is.
yeah, you get a sense like he's not like super comfortable in it. Granted, he hasn't had enough time to wear it, but there's that sense. They literally dyed his hair blonde to a lighter color because focus groups appeal to a traditional looking hero, is what they said.
Yeah.
Different things like that, and I was like, oh man, I want like the best for Bob by this point. So like I'm looking at him, I'm like, I'm happy for you. Like if you were this in an Avenger loving setting, like absolutely, I think we will get that coming forward. But yeah, it was a lot to take in, which is interesting. And then we get to the scene where they all end up fighting.
What a crazy! He is so fucking powerful.
He's very powerful. So just to go over, and like I said, this is why I like compared him to Neo in a sense, because he kind of is reaching almost an omnipotent level. Not quite, but like damn near. Especially if you take the Void into account. But like while they're fighting, he's able to like move them, throw them with his mind. Like he has telekinesis. He can fly. He has super speed, which I saw. He can melt metal with his mind, like from a distance. Bucky tries to stab him, and it breaks in the space in front of him, like he has a shield.
Yeah, it just stops. He pushes Red Guardian out the window and drags him back inside,
right into the bar. All the glasses.
I'm like, holy shit! Oh my god!
And I was wondering, I was like, will he drop? I think a lot of people were wondering that too. Like, is he gonna fall out the? I figured he'd survive, but he'd be like, ow.
Yeah, I remember watching the trailer. I'm like, oh my god! He just gets pushed out the window, but then he brings him back in. I'm like, oh wow, okay, yeah, that could have been.
He throws him around a couple times. I noticed. Upon rewatch.
Yeah.
Everybody's getting kicked. He's able to sense ghosts in invisibility. Was able to knock her down. I love so Bucky kind of like tries to lock in.
Nice try, Bucky.
And I always say this whenever something like this, I was like, oh no, the disrespect when he beats Bucky with his own arm.
Yeah, that was disrespectful.
Anytime that happens to a character where like a piece of them is what does them in, I'm like, oh, that sucks. But I also love the little detail where Ava picks up the arm for Bucky. Like, she runs up to grab it for him.
Yeah. And I like how like they want to live. As soon as they realize they're getting their ass kicked, they quickly like leave, which is kind of rare. They're like, okay, let's head to the elevator. Let's get the hell out of here.
Very a lot of people were like, oh, they're like actually like survival instinct. They understand.
Yeah, they understand. They're not gonna be like, we're gonna do this. Come on. It's like, no.
We tried.
Yeah, we tried. We're out. Bye. Peace out. See you tomorrow. It's like, damn.
Which leads to a great conversation between Bob and Val. I kind of took it at probably what a lot of people did at face value on my first viewing, but then I got recontextualized on the second, which is like I thought he was getting a bit more hubris, because then he did throw around the idea of him being godlike.
Yeah.
And I thought he was identifying as a god, and I was like, oh, that's intense.
Rising. But what do you think?
Well, upon second viewing, when I was actually like locking into all the words he was saying, he's only going off of what Val was saying because he's going comparatively off like the idea of being stronger than all the Avengers, which includes Thor, who is a god. So he was just kind of like power scaling in a sense, but only for like the point across of what he's doing, like why he has to serve her, but also like realizing like he doesn't have to follow orders, but not because he could, not in like a Homelander, I can do whatever the fuck I want sense, more in a sense of like, I don't have any ill will towards these people. Why would I want to kill them? I don't want to be that person. And it's only
he wants him to finish him off, and he's like, no, I'm good.
Yeah, and it's all, and he does like hold her by the neck, but only because he got a sense that like, for all he knows, was going to kill him, and sense the betrayal. And it's only after like he gets like shut down that the Void ends up unlocking. So I think that also gives a good leeway to hopefully get Bob back into the fight for when we need him. Is like, when you were like lost all true consciousness, the Void took over, but like while you were just like on your own as Sentry, you had the control. Like you had
consciousness. You were just like being played a little bit by Val. You were feeding into what Val was telling you. But now that you have a good group around you, a good comforting Thunderbolts, New Avengers group around you, maybe that Sentry ability can come out without the Void. Yeah, great point.
Yeah.
But I hope the Russos still
contend with that struggle though in Doomsday.
I absolutely think they will. I also another quick Bob Yelena thing is like Val's trying to turn the Thunderbolts against Bob. Just like they want to use you, they want to hurt you, get rid of you, and Yelena's the first one to step up. That's not true. No. And he's calling him Bob, even if they're even if for a second he's like, you can call me Sentry. Like she's like Bob.
She never wavers for sure.
So that
come on, make it happen.
Yeah, so that's great. But that ultimately leads us to when the Void starts to come out and overtake a lot of the city, and it is. I think it's very intentional. And granted, I know it was marketed. I kind of wish it wasn't because
there's no way they could market that.
I know you could. I mean, you could just keep like the silhouette man. But the fact that they have the first showcase. And I love like the words. Like he's getting shot, and he's just like, "Aren't you tired of fighting? Let me help." And he just like flattens into. It kind of reminisces like the ash of a person who got like imploded from a bomb.
Yeah, I mean, the director specifically mentioned Hiroshima. The effects of Hiroshima. Because people are like, "Oh my gosh, how dare he?"
Because their shadows are literally frozen in the last like frame pose that they were in actual essence. And so for like before you actually go into the void, for all you know, you're just like, that person died, and then you're seeing so many people get taken down. It's like this is a massacre.
I'm jumping ahead. Like when the little girl, what happens to the little girl? My heart sank. I'm like, oh my god, this movie, no way.
Even when I watched it again, it still hit because like the emotional crux is because Red Guardian runs over this falling debris and he saves her, and it's such like a caring moment. And this was all after, I'm gonna talk about it right now. This is all after the big chaos is happening. People are in danger. Car's gonna hit a woman with a carriage, shit like that. Big debris is gonna roll. Cars are tumbling. Everybody's gonna get hurt. People go in. Red Guardian throws Yelena to get the woman out of the way. Awesome. Bucky with the arm to dodge the fucking car, and then they're all like trying to push this fallen debris, and they all come together to push it off.
It's so simple. Like it's just one piece of fallen debris amongst the entire city. But I like how we're each getting a special character moment and a come together moment for this entire team, no matter how small it is, because one life means a lot. And I just like how they were just able to have this one big heroic moment within this crazy disaster. That's the definition of getting big emotional payoff within a big scale kind of movie, no matter how small it is. It worked brilliantly. It was so like euphoric.
It definitely was. It felt like a way more intimate scale to like when you see the Avengers team. It was like, we're in the circle and it's cool, and it's like, I'm excited to see the heroes, stop the world-ending threat, save the day. But they're mostly like fighting all around the city, just taking out like the nameless bad guys, and then they come back together, and it's like, okay, cool. And sometimes they work off each other, and it's fun taking out like Ultron bots and shit like that. But here, when like they're all in like close proximity and they're not like super omnipotently powered, and they are, this is the most important thing, they're showcasing the actual civilians in fear, in danger, and we physically see their faces and we save them. Like other than Multiverse of Madness, this is not a very like recent and common thing that we see. And it's something I commended then, and it's something I especially commend now because of how much focus is. It's not like, even in Multiverse of Madness, it's like, hey, we got a couple people out of the way. We're seeing their like scared reactions to the monster in the city. Here, it's like, oh, we're in imminent danger. They were able to save them, get them to safety, and we see their response or reactions, and you get that feeling. And that all crescendos when Red Guardian saves the little girl from the falling debris, and it's such a sweet moment, and you feel like we really tried, we did something here, this is great. And then she disappears with that intense bass boom. Wow,
it is jarring, it is heartbreaking, it is crazy. But that is when I first thought, I was like, okay, there has to be something going on here with this darkness. There's no way Marvel was killing a little girl.
I already had that feeling, unfortunately, because in the trailer I'd see Yelena willingly stepping toward the dark, and I was like, well, I feel like we're going in. Because also with just seeing how far spread the shadow was going, I was like, we can't massacre New York.
Yeah. As it got bigger and bigger, I'm like, okay, pause. Like, what's really happening here?
That said, though, That said, I love what it implies that every citizen in New York is going through in the void and facing their demon. Like a lot of people have been calling out, like, "Oh my God, Matt and Spider-Man must be dying in the void." Daredevil and Spider-Man, just like they're
Matt and Spider. Yeah.
living through their trauma.
Yeah.
Especially,
Oh
I think
God.
I was thinking, because some people were like like it was with Daredevil in this one, they were like Spider-Man's on fraud watch because he wasn't around. And then even in this one, they're like, "Where were you?" And all the replies are like, "He was seeing Tony die, May die,
he was seeing Uncle Ben." Yeah,
literally, like all these things. It's just like, oh yeah, MJ he can't get to, like he's seeing all this shit for sure.
Yeah. New York had been going through it recently. Yeah, are they still under curfew when this is happening?
I don't know. That being said, though, and I don't know how to go, but like. And I know this isn't the blip, but like this was a very big thing. And the same way that like a lot of different properties were showing perspectives of, being snapped out of existence and coming back, I really would love to see some hero's perspective of the void. I don't think they'll do this, but Evan, could you imagine if Spider-Man 4 kicked off from that perspective? And then
that'd be really cool.
And then that would never happen. It won't, because it's too smart.
Yeah,
but it's too smart for Sony. But like again, like the thought of like going through the process of the void for Peter, and then he comes back out, and then you go on he's already alone with nobody, and then he has to continue on with that feeling of dread.
So what you're saying is Spider-Man 4 starts with something in the way.
Ooh,
something in the way.
Free. Just to feel something, he turns it on.
Just to feel something.
He can't listen to AC/DC anymore. It's very
traumatizing for him. Therapy. But yeah, I love that entire scene. I love when she goes off on the team. I love when she's talking to Red Guardian about needing a father, needing that guardian figure in her life where she's felt so empty. It was this all movie. It's like you said, it's a brilliant crescendo from one conversation to the next. And yeah, I like the way they go. Even though they go in the void here, Yelena experiences her trauma again, and she overcomes it now in the third act. I thought that was really good, simple but good storytelling there. Yeah. Able to see, like, literally just carve out her own path within her nightmares. Yeah. Physically,
I love the different perspectives of her trying to stop her trauma. Whether she's trying to stand in the way of the shooting, but then like the void is literally forcing her to witness it. When she's the first one to assemble a gun in that scene, and then all the other girls are getting punished with a whip. Like Yelena covers her ears and stands in front of her to shield her from it.
It's all about isolation, right? It's whereas like in the past she was isolated, but now she's growing up. She's like comforting her younger self. It was very, very heartwarming.
And then I love the bit where it's in more modern day, where it's just modern Yelena, like drunk on the bathroom floor by herself, and then just the horrific implication of that Yelena attacking our present one, like forcing her to drink and getting in her personal space. It's very intense, very self-reflective. It was handled so well.
Very ballsy scene, right there. That was very smart.
And then Bob hiding in the reflections before we were able to get inside and spend time with him, realizing it's his childhood room where he where that's probably the only like real place he could actually hide. He's addressed like this is like the least worst place in his mind to go, which is awful because of what he's right above with the abuse that he's witnessing. I think I'd clocked parental abuse from both of them, unfortunately. Like obviously his dad was very aggressive, but because he stepped up for his mom called him out for making the situation worse, and that was like a double negative, which was heartbreaking to witness. But the fact that Bob and Yelena are there and they're able to talk through it, I really love that. On the outside, the Thunderbolts are for Red Guardian's response to Yelena entering it, not realizing if she's alive or not. That was that is the best Red Guardian moment I think we've had acting wise.
I agree. That was a guttural scream from him. That was a true, vulnerable, honest, like super sad scene from him. Yeah, he thinks his daughter just died in front of him.
Yeah, and then I like the idea, like Bucky, for all he's witnessed, he doesn't think Yelena's around. He thinks she's probably gone. But Ava's kind of has a twinge of feeling that maybe there's something like, why would she just do that? And I like that John encourages Ava after, it's been funny, like the little soft jabs to humble John throughout the story. You're just like, oh, you're a big man, military man with your long fucking barrel gun and shit. You like your hat, making fun of him and stuff. But then, like, in the self-reflective of when he had his experience with Bob, he does stick up for Ava's idea, coming in on that and trying to pitch that there might be something deeper with the Void, and encouraging the mindset of the team and their ideas and exploring those so that they all come together when the Void is attacking Bob and Yelena for trying to fight against it, and then the rest of the Thunderbolts come in to save each other. I think that was great.
So good. And yeah, just seeing Bob's isolation there too. Just the way he's just sitting, that shot of him just sitting at the hospital room, and then just the two shadows next to him.
He's in the experimentation room. It's the same. I clocked it. It's the same room that Yelena's around in the beginning. And I noticed that door is open too, and you can see the flash of shadows that are on the wall in the beginning of the movie.
Oh, really?
Yeah, there are, because it's from like a past thing that Bob already went through in that room.
Jesus. Okay, interesting. Got it.
Yeah. So yeah, I like that. I also, again, another poignant thing for John's journey. He's been an asshole to Bob a lot of the time, and he's been like annoyingly, playfully calling him Bobby, which is what his dad called him in his flashbacks when he was hitting Bob. And after that point in the Void, when they do get out, he just calls him Bob from then on. But also another thing of reflecting from John being a bit of a piece of shit dad, deadbeat. He runs into Bob's dad and he starts yelling at Bob and he knocks him the fuck out. I think that was a nice little
great touch.
Through line. Stuff like that. And then they fight Bob in a meth out Bob in the chicken suit. Bucky knocks him out.
I was in meth. Yeah.
Yeah, that was funny. But they finally do make their way out, not before the big thing where he faces the entity of the Void himself, Bob's darker half.
Just punching him. He tries defeating him physically.
And that's...
It doesn't work.
This is the most beautiful, I think, parallel that they could have done, which is, usually you think you got to fight off these demons that are within you. You got to just do your best to suppress them, to expel them, but you have to come to the realization. I think this is a big thing in therapy, in the through line of the process, which is realizing it's not just you can overcome your past. That past is a part of you. These darker things are a part of you, and it's not something that you can beat out of yourself. You have to nurture it. You have to find a way to rise above it, not give into the darkness that is literally calling you into this negativity.
Agreed. It's very anime-esque. And again, I mentioned earlier how when I first saw the trailers, I was like, oh, they're just going to talk through Bob because there's no way they can physically beat him. They're going to talk him out of it. But I like the fact that they help him hug instead of physically fighting his inner demon. Again, it's very anime-esque. This happens in Naruto a lot where you're facing your shadowy self, and it's just you got to embrace it. Embrace the past. Embrace your darker half rather than killing it. It happens in Star Wars a lot too.
And this is the beautiful thing, is the Void apprehends all of the Thunderbolts, pins them back with the environment, and none of them can get through. But then Red Guardian is able to push just enough for Yelena to slip out, and then she's slipping through everything flying at to reach Bob, just not to help in any form of a fight, just to hug him and let him know that he's not alone and that she's there. And this is fueling the ship more, and it's going to fuel the friendship of other things, but this is also fueling my ship more.
Oh yeah.
But it is genuinely also just a beautiful connection between the two, and I think it's a perfect a perfect through line of and finale to the relationship that has been built between Bob and Yelena, who I think are the top characters that are being explored within this.
Yeah, they're the heart of the movie for sure. The connection and the journey that they both go on together. Yeah. They both feel that void, but just one feels it a lot more tangibly than the other. But yeah, it was brilliant stuff. They finish it off here, and I love how they all want to get They all want to get Val. They want to get their piece of Val.
I really didn't know how I was gonna go. I really thought they were like gonna fucking grab her. I was like, oh shit.
Yeah.
And we just like drag her to Congress or something.
She pulls the Uno reverse card. She'd been talking about planning a conference, a meeting, a Spur of the Blue meeting. And she used this as a play, saying like, hey, I had the Thunderbolts save the day against Sentry, the guy who was destroying New York.
Not even that, because Bob is also right there.
You're right, yeah.
It's more so just like, I've been working.
They all just save the day. Yeah,
I've been working like hard to like build a team that is necessary with events like these unfold, and they've come through to this day. So I'd like to introduce your new Avengers.
New Avengers. I do like the fact that Yelena ended on like, we own you now, because they hold all the information.
Yeah, which absolutely. That was wow. So this was interesting because I did feel it coming, because there was a rumor for a while that like the asterisk was in reference to. Yeah,
I think we even talked about it.
Yeah, the rumor was like the title would be revealed as like they're the Dark Avengers.
I heard Dark Avengers a lot too. Yeah,
which is what I was initially anticipating, but then for it to
which would have been goofy too. Like, who would want to side of people literally called Dark Avengers?
I don't think publicly they would have gone by that, but I just figured it would be like these are like an Avenger adjacent team, but kind of functioning in that, because a lot of people were like, this is like Marvel's Suicide Squad, but it's really not at all. But a lot of people were using that descriptor, so I think they probably would have thought like these are like Avenger Black Ops effectively, but like no, it's like these are now heroes in the public light. These are being branded as the Avengers, and I really like the idea that the credits start to play with the different art of just the public being like, wait, what? This is confused. Who are these people?
Yeah, we don't like these people. Yeah.
Are these people good enough? Who the fuck is this Bob guy? Why is he hanging around all these people?
There's a lot of like skepticism.
Yeah, but effectively it is happening, and it goes on for another 14 months. But I do like the idea here, and that brings to a shift in my perspective. So I think it's been a crazy shift in perspective that pre-Brave New Worlds release, I was just like, I think Thunderbolts will be my lesser of these 3 movies this year. And now it has become one of my favorites in my MCU ranking, to quite a high degree. And I remember I think I have it at 9 right now.
Oh, wow, yeah.
Pretty snug in the top 10. That being said, I remember like watching, the Doomsday Shares and whatnot, and hearing all the Thunderbolts cast, and I was just kind of being like, okay, cool, but I was like, half of this cast is the Thunderbolts, and I'm like, what am I like?
Now I'm stoked.
Where's Carol? Where's Ethan? All these people. I'm sitting there like, okay, but like after watching this movie, I was sat back and I was like, I would gladly call you Avengers. I love you all so much.
I would gladly get a sequel right away. Like, I want these guys. I want to see another team up with them right away with the same director. But yeah, now I'm super excited to see like where they go as a fully fledged team. Like, how does it look like?
Yeah.
This post credit scene. What did you think about all of this?
I liked it. I mean, I was just first off, I think this is the longest post credit scene that they've ever had. I think it's like a good
Is it?
I think it's at least like 3 minutes or something. It's pretty like it goes on. Everybody walks in with their new Avengers official suits. Like, it's their traditional looks, but it has like that more like comic Avengers A.
Yeah.
Bucky has like very fluffed hair, which I kind of just view as like in a sense of just like this is definitely Val doing like PR looks for them and whatnot. Same thing with Sentry.
They have more color to them. They have a new hat, new beret, right? Walker's shield still messed up, didn't get fixed.
Yeah, which I feel like he's doing that on purpose now. It's just like I can make it work,
right? But then they talk about how something's like, hey, something's crazy up in space. What, outer space?
Yeah. Well, hold on, because first they enter. Sam's not happy at the idea that this is.
But that's big. Yeah, Sam is not happy.
And Bucky had a talk with Sam, and Sam's not happy. He's even filing a fucking copyright for the name,
which he will win. Yeah.
Oh yeah, he has witnesses to pull. But yeah, I did find that pretty compelling, and it brings this idea of like who's really the Avenger, and ultimately it's going to come down to like anybody who's willing to fight is an honorary Avenger.
Yeah, they're all going to be part of the Avengers when this all
they're all going to prove themselves. They're all going to help each other in different team dynamics, and it's going to be like, okay, yes, we're all Avengers.
We're all Avengers, but even though I think Thunderbolts are going to have to they're going to want to separate themselves, maybe.
I mean, I don't know, because we haven't seen how they've been operating in the public for 14 months. That's a significant amount of time.
Because I still do kind of want a Thunderbolts sequel, but if they all become Avengers, it's kind of impossible. But I don't know.
I guess it could just be an Avenger movie where it's with them. I guess it would depend.
Avengers. I don't know. Now you can't even call it New Avengers. Anyways,
you could I don't know. You could split dynamic, do a fucking West Coast Avengers.
That would work too. But yeah, overall, I like that. Cap is not. Even though again, I still think that should have been part of Brave New World. Him trying to discover that leadership and discover New Avengers. Anyways, but yeah, the whole space thing was very exciting too. Because our whole theory for Fantastic Four was we knew they had to get to the MCU somehow, and we see how it is. They come on their spaceship, which we saw in the teaser trailer for Fantastic Four already. So
in my journey of trying to avoid spoilers for the movie, because I went a day late on Friday, I was people do Thunderbolt spoilers, not enough dashes. and my brain likes to quickly look autofill, and it sucks because you're scrolling up, so I'm immediately gonna see the fucking bottom words.
Oh, for sure.
And I quickly I was on my way to the theater, and I quickly swiped away, but I was like, fuck, did I see the word Sam? So in my brain I was like, oh, I'm anticipating, all right, Sam's gonna show up and there's gonna be some sort of discussion of Avengers. I'm like, okay, cool. I'm so excited. But it was just a name drop, not realizing the bigger thing. And this is the thing that was also brought up to me. I was made aware is hey, don't read the credits of the movie because it spoils who's gonna pop up. And again, my brain was thinking that something would say assistant to Mr. Mackey, and I was like, okay, so maybe I won't see it. And so when I saw the music credit come up, I'm like, okay, cool, I'm safe, we're cool. And the very last credit I see is credit Michael Giacchino, Fantastic Four First Steps theme, and I was like, why?
That's wild.
Why is that there? Because this isn't even it was a joke thing, but in the first Guardians of the Galaxy, they did all the credits. They did a fun little Howard the Duck gag, and then they did a credit to Howard the Duck created by so-and-so after the scene. And I was like, cool. Why the fuck don't you do that now?
That's weird. Yeah, it was. I didn't. Luckily, I wasn't even paying attention. I was kind of watching the credits, but also on my phone at the same time, so I wasn't really doing all that. But that sucks. That sucks.
That being said, though, I was feeling the palpable anticipation of them addressing the space anomaly, and they're going to bring it up. And I am sitting here and I'm like, are we going to fucking see that? Will we zoom in on a cockpit? What ship will they be flying? And I was taken aback that, it is just that futuristic shuttle, which I thought was more so going to be a futuristic retro design of their world of just a fucking NASA rocket, like any other. I didn't think it was going to be their main transportation.
Agreed. But here comes the main question, Nathan. Are they escaping a universe that died? Or is the universe still alive? What do you think?
This is an interesting thing I was posing. First off, I was feeling hyped because it was they're here technically.
Really cool. Yeah.
But I love the reveal of it. But yeah, I was kind of thinking for a second of okay, they could be on board. What if nobody's on board? I thought, and what if nobody's on board, but there's a distress beacon with coordinates to follow, and they just have to hope somebody will climb aboard and return with them to help save their world, which could maybe have their doom, that they start running the course of action on that. It's coming into aid for Galactus, but also Doom's around, and maybe he steps in on some tech brought over from the world, some tech that's developed there, whatever it does to kickstart Doom's journey. Could be possible. I don't know. But also there's a shot in Fantastic Four's trailer where I'm pretty sure their fucking Earth is imploding.
There is? Oh, well, with the
there's at least a good chunk of almost a continent sized flame.
Debris. Yeah. That could definitely work. I just think they're gonna, I don't know, but part of me just thinks that they're on it. I think they just
I think they are. I do.
But also I can't scratch the feeling it's so simple to just have the world blow up and then they survive. I feel with the whole the promises in the trailer, like we will protect you, we will save you.
Mhm.
It'll feel so defeated that they're just like, oh, we lost. Even though I do like when movies do that. I do like when movies do that when you just lost. But for me, I still think I can see a world where, you know, they come to bargain with Galactus or whatever. They're just like, we will sacrifice ourselves. We will leave, spare our universe. Something like that.
Oh,
Otherwise, it's just like we lost and now we're stuck in a new world. We feel dejected. We feel useless. Like it would feel very dark. I'll say it right now. I don't think their universe dies, but that's my prediction.
It's interesting. I think it is
because Galactus just eats it and wins. Like, what are we doing?
it would be like holy shit, and it would also get them to
What it don't? Because we're all predicting it.
Well, I think this is a similar thing of just like we brought up before, the idea of like, you know, you may be watching like a prequel or something, and it's like, you know, this character's going to make it through whatever they're through, but it's the journey that's like, holy shit.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
We're watching Andor right now, motherfucker. With other characters, granted, but also Cassian I'm invested in. That said, somebody had an interesting theory that maybe once Franklin's born, because it looks like Franklin's going to be born in space, maybe his like, I'm unfamiliar with his power set, but I think he is a bit like
OP.
Yeah, so I think like maybe in like a distress sense, while he's a child, they could accidentally like blip them out of their actual reality, which would.
He can't do that. Yeah, if people don't know, Franklin has like reality bending, universal powers, like multiversal powers.
But it would also create like an interesting dilemma of just like, hey, we are like on the verge of stopping Galactus, but now like, oh, we're not here anymore. We have to get back to our universe to save it, but we're stuck here.
I do like that. Yeah, I do like that a lot. So yeah, I'm very curious to see how they do it, because defeating Galactus is impossible. We know that. But so was defeating Void, and they did it in a very cool way. So
I think we can hug Galactus.
We can't hug him. Hug the leg. Galactus, okay, buddy. You know. I don't know.
It's like,
he's like, what are you doing? He's like, get out of here.
Galactus, shrink to our size, eat our food.
Yeah, right.
And leave.
It's just, I'm very curious. But yeah, I can't wait to see them interact with everybody else. It's gonna be magic.
Yeah, I think I'm super excited just to again, like I was praising Thunderbolts for, is just seeing the dynamic of the public and their response to the heroes, because that's in spades for the Fantastic Four here. They're already established heroes, and that latest trailer, just like, you know, the talking heads, thank you Fantastic Four, and like everybody loving them, wearing their merch and.
Yeah, I really like that second trailer where it's like, we will protect you. Like, there's an amount of like responsibility and pressure that they're under. And I can't wait to see the movie explore that. But yeah, we ran along here 2 hours and 46 minutes now. Great movie, fantastic movie. I don't know where I'll rank it, you know, but in terms of post Endgame rankings, this is right there next to the only competition for me is Guardians and Shang-Chi. I think that's the only competition for me. And then Guardians, Shang-Chi, then Thunderbolts. Maybe Guardians, Thunderbolts, then Shang-Chi. I do love Wenwu. Wenwu's like, I don't know.
Are you somebody who's more into the third act of Shang-Chi?
Oh yeah, I love third act. I don't care about the whole.
It's very anime for you, right?
It's very anime, very lit. And I focused in on the Wenwu and Shang-Chi father-son battle. Yeah. And the snake thing is like, it's not even that long. It's like 1 minute long, where he climbs on top of it, and it just looks cool. But anyways, so yeah, I love Shang-Chi so much. And the Guardians is just magic. Guardians 3 is it's too good.
Yeah, it especially has the leg up of being like a third installment for the character.
Yeah.
A fifth if you count, you know, the journey through the Avengers films.
Just that song at the end. What is it again?
Dog Days Are Over.
You can't beat that. You can't beat it. You can't beat it. Tears every time. It's so perfect. Like, that's a perfect trilogy, man. What a great stuff. But anyways, so yeah, those are the only two, and then I think I'd put No Way Home as 4th.
Right on.
So yeah.
Oh, right for the current post Endgame.
Post Endgame, only post Endgame.
I was like, wow.
Not overall. No way. It's like 15th or something.
I have been letting No Way Home sit at number 1 for a long time, and I have been like, well, I do love you. but also it's like honorary. Just like
Here's the
I'm like,
positive guy.
do I bump it under the Avengers? Do I bump it a little more? Because even I'm watching Thunderbolts and I'm like, fucking, I'm not getting tired of the beginning of that movie.
Not at all. But yeah, okay. We gotta head out here. But yeah, it's gonna be a busy week ahead. Andor tomorrow, 7, 8, and 9 of Andor. Nathan's gonna be live streaming that tomorrow.
Yeah.
Okay. So tune in for that. Like and subscribe to our podcast if you lasted all the way to our discussion here. This was a great episode of Last of Us, a great movie weekend. Go out to the movies, guys. Go watch Sinners. Go watch Thunderbolts. You know, it's a great time at the movies. Find me on Twitter, Harris EV9.
Sinner's still tagged at my number 1 of the year ranking. Thunderbolts number 2.
Great. I didn't even rank Thunderbolts yet. Where should I place it, guys? Where should I put it?
Also, I have like 5. I only have 5 movies on my year ranking so far.
Yeah, exactly.
It's sad right now.
I have Thunderbolts. I mean, I have Sinners and Black Bag. I'll have to think about Black Bag versus Thunderbolts, but it might be number 2 now. I might like it more than Black Bag. I'm not sure. Maybe a little bit. 2 or 3 for sure. It's in my top 5, which is rare. I did not expect having a Marvel movie in my top 5, but
yeah. Cool. But that being said, follow me _TimeBlazer, making a show called Time Blazer with co-star and creative consultant Evan Harris,
who plays Ben, and all he needs is a hug. He needs a hug, guys.
Evan,
what?
Thunderbolts is so Time Blazer coded. You have no idea.
It really is. I was thinking about it. No lie, I was thinking about it in terms of like just the whole trauma angle. Yeah,
it definitely allowed me to like look at some perspectives of some bits of upcoming story, and I was like, oh, we can frame it even better from here, and we will be. But that being said, if you guys enjoyed this, share the like button, subscribe now already, ring the bell so you miss coverage on all things film, TV, game. And that being said, hope you have a great day. And we'll catch you guys next time.